Welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Fighting Chat podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing UFC Fight Night, Fight Island 6, Brian Ortega versus Chang Sung Jung, also known as, and more commonly known as, surprisingly enough, the Korean Zombie. Maybe that's because his name's a bit of a mouthful, but is it Chang Sung Jung? Not really.
No, it's easy, isn't it?
Well, I think it is.
I used to have a mate at school.
Was he a mate? Or is this just you?
Nah, not really. It was just in my class, basically.
Yeah, I knew it.
And when we started school, I hated this anyway. The teachers said, right?
How old?
11. So
Okay.
This is secondary school. Just started secondary school,
Oh.
and went through the register and reading out the names. And they said, anybody that's got a difficult name or a name that they'd rather, like a nickname they'd rather be called by, let me know. I hated that.
I don't like that.
I hate when teachers try and be mates with students, right? Especially
trying to get on the student's level.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to be all like, cool, man. Like, hey, you nipping off later around the back of the bike sheds for a fag, and all that kind of crap.
I'm not all stiff and grey like you think I am. Exactly. I might be a teacher, but I can also be your friend. Right, off.
All that crap. And they went through.
Give over. I did have one teacher that I did get friendly with, the PE teacher. He was brilliant.
It's always the PE teacher. Get friendly with him in the shower.
No. It's funny you should say that. I'm definitely not saying names, but there was two, and there was one that everybody suspected was like that because of the behaviour.
Every school's got one, yeah.
Look, we did
ours was our music team.
Well, there you go. We thought about it at the time. We will come back to your mate that isn't your mate, right? We thought about it at the time because, as you know, my bro, he's 3 years older than me and went to the same school. So he also had this teacher. That isn't always the case. But I think with things like PE, they don't have loads of different ones, do they? Maths and French and whatever. Yeah. My bro had different teachers, right? But for PE, I think we all had the same bloke, right? And it was an all-boys school, and he was a fella. And
there's a telltale sign already. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Yeah, and we had our suspicions. Don't forget, I'm 3 years younger. I had my suspicions at a younger age. And so when I spoke to my bro about it, and the hick as well, see, he's in my bro's year as well, we was all like, I don't know about this bloke. What makes you think it? And you'd ask. And then my bro and that would go, listen, it's definite. And I said, what, does he do that with you guys as well? It's like, yeah, it's not. It's kind of known. I guess when they're 3 years older, they're much more. The main one was he used to encourage, or I would say force you to have a shower. And no one wanted to. Now, there's lots of reasons. This isn't just him. I think a big reason was because boys didn't want to see the other boys. You didn't want to walk around Starkers and go into the shower. That don't help, right? Especially me, terrible bod, little maggot and all that going on. You don't want to...
Yeah, but you were allowed to keep pants on or whatever.
No. The shower was raw.
You had to go in naked.
Is that normal? Because there you go. See what I mean? If that ain't normal, and teacher's asking us to do it...
I was going to say I went to school a few years...
Hang on a minute. Keep your pants on. So you're going to have a shower in your pants and then put trousers over soaking wet pants.
I went to school a few years later than you, and we used to get told to go in the shower, but we got told, if you want, you can bring a spare pair of either pants or bring some swimming trunks.
Okay.
Go in the shower like that. But
Understood.
They did force everybody to shower for hygiene reasons, especially if you started, say, the day with double PE, and then you had to sit through the rest of the day, geography and maths, like sweating and stinking in rotten clothes with BO.
All right.
So they used to force, I guess, from a hygiene level, they used to force us to have showers. But no one ever used to. Like the teacher used to go, everybody in the shower, and everyone used to just basically go in there, duck their head under the shower, and then come out.
Age, please. Are we talking 11? So I'm talking secondary school here.
Yeah, same. 11.
Same, okay, yeah.
And like you said earlier, the PE teacher, he was just basically the PE teacher in English schools. Anyway, this is just in every English school. Is basically the most athletic teacher in the school. So he's not employed to be a PE teacher. It'll be like he teaches geography, but because he's relatively decent shape and he plays five-a-side football on the weekend, they go, oh, you might as well fill in and do PE and all.
I was about to say to you when you said he's the most athletic teacher. He weren't.
PE teacher But
Yeah.
he also teaches English.
Yeah. Because I was thinking when you said it, athletic, I was like, ours weren't. He had a crap bod.
Hey, ours was basically just he was a real lump, but and they always used to wear those same tight tracksuit bottoms.
Oh, like your Nikes. Go thin at the bottom.
The ones,
horrible, like horse riding trousers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, almost like leggings. They all used to wear that. I think this is a very English thing or very British thing.
Maybe it is. But I know the trousers you're talking about. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you used to have to do if you've got your kit and you've got it something like 3 times, you used to have to do games in your pants and socks to as a sort of punishment to make you remember that
Don't did have that. But I don't remember that being the case in secondary school. Maybe they had a bit more like, look, these kids are older. They ain't going to walk around in their pants and socks. But I do remember that punishment. I can't remember.
They changed the rule, but it was still crap. They done it. It wasn't socks and pants in secondary school. That was junior school. In secondary school, they used to send you to the lost clothes department.
Yeah, you had to wear a pair of painted ones.
You used to have to wear clothes that people basically had left behind after PE and never claimed. And so you go in there and there'd be like shorts that have been scrunched up in a bag with mud on them for about 6 months. You put
and skids.
Absolutely stink. Yeah, there's all manner of stuff on them. And I'd be like, you've got to wear these. You've got to wear someone else's shorts, basically, that they decided these shorts are so naff, I'm going to leave them behind. And then
and listen, I don't want to smash myself in too much here, but the facts are the facts. Them shorts that are in that lost and found, they never fit me. Let's put it that way. Not one pair. So mine would be tight as out and it wouldn't fit. Carry on.
Well, I'll go back to my mate. He was.
No, I haven't finished yet because I haven't told you about the teacher. And you asked me why we had suspicions.
Yeah, you said he used to make you shower, but I had a teacher that
made us shower. Well, there you go then. So I haven't finished. So you're saying that like big deal.
What do you do? Dry you off afterwards?
No, but I'll add stuff to it, and you can start to tell me whether this bloke also did the same. Right? If you tell me yours did the same, I'll be, look, we're just oversensitive at that age. But as I said to you, I had 2 people that I spoke to regularly that were 3 years older, and both of them thought exactly the same. Right?
All right.
And were letting me know.
And I'll tell you the point where I would go,
See?
I'm calling the police. Go on.
Right. So this is the PE teacher now, right? So this guy used to say, you got to have a shower. That we didn't like.
I've got no problem with that.
Right. And I've actually explained to you.
But I'm not calling the police yet.
No, but I also explained to you, look, this is something where there's other reasons why you didn't want it. You just didn't want to get your bod out and run around with your piece because this was peace out. But you said that you had a little rule to do with pants, right? We didn't have that. He didn't have that rule. It was strip off. And that's kind of what he would say as well. And get in the shower.
Did you used to cup your maggot and berries or did you...
Not really much to cup, is there?
I know, but did you kind of like pretend that you had a lot in your hand? Like, kind of make it seem like your hand was... Did you cup it and hide it, or did you just stand there with your hands with your hands on your hips, like just? Of
course, I hid it, but it was easy for me to hide because the top part of my gut hid it, just flapped over in it. So yeah, they weren't.
There you go. And they say that obesity's a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen. In this case, it was all right because I couldn't see it, and nor could no one else. Right, so it was a good, good little blanket I had over it. Right, big blanket. And so I do think that was the main reason why people went, oh, really? Have I got to have a shower? It's could be embarrassing, this. And it is because everyone laughed. There were some kids that had hairs and some kids that didn't. That was there was laughing about 2 main things in 3 things. The state of your bod, right? This is the truth. 3 things. State of your bod, size of your piece, and whether you had hairs or not, right? Yeah. But the difference is if you had hairs, you was kind of sniffed in for that. So, weed piece, you'd get laughed at. Hairs, it'd be like, Guan, look at my man. It'd be that. So you're a bit, you look a bit older than the others. You're maturing and whatever. It's like, yeah, man, we like that.
Man, yeah.
Right.
You're not a virgin and all that. Yeah, it's just got all
exactly,
these.
Right. Yeah. So so there were 3 things that were noticed. There you go. 2 that were negative and 1 that was positive, right? But there was a couple that had loads and they got laughed at. And loads was meant loads. They had massive loads down their legs, loads around their piece. Didn't matter how big their piece was. You couldn't see it in the forest, right? So it did matter on the qual of your hairs as well, right? But that was that. But you had to get over that because you had this And this guy was massive, right? This PE teacher, big, right? And he'd be telling you, and
what do you mean in stature or
stature? Yeah, in stature. Yeah, he was tall,
okay.
big.
I thought you might have been talking about his piece.
Not seen that. Now I didn't notice. I think look, that would have been another sign, right? Whether you could see it through them tight things he used to wear, them tight trackies, them horse riding legs. But he used to stand there and force you to do it. So, for example, some kids would just be doing it, getting undressed and going and just getting it over with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other kids would be a little bit more like, let's see if I can get away with this. I'm really nervous. I don't want to do it. He'd go and stand by them. Now,
what group were you in?
The tick one.
Yeah, no, what I mean is, were you the ones that just went, let's get it over with, or were you the ones where he had to come and stand next to you?
He had to come and stand there.
All right, okay, go on, carry on.
And now I'm still not suspecting him of anything, because guess what? The rules are, I don't know if they were the rules, his rules, and you do as you're told at that age is the truth. Most kids did. Were you had to have a shower. So I still haven't got an issue with him standing next to you and going, listen, I ain't seen you go in the shower and you got to have it. So I'm still not suspecting him of much, because he's trying to enforce the rules. He's like, well, if he's having a shower, you have to have one. There is no double standards here. And if he's got to enforce the rules, what do you want him to do? But when doing that, he could have been a bit more discreet and looked away and stuff like that, right? And made you feel a little less awkward, couldn't he? Could have turned his back, but he didn't. He stood there.
You help your pants up. You help you out of your pants and stuff, didn't you?
No, hold on. Now, I was going to say that he didn't. Hold on. I was going to say there's no touching, but that would be incorrect, right? So he would stand there and it was but I still ain't going to blame him for it. It's intimidation, right? He's going, get undressed and get in the shower, right? But watching you. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit awkward, like someone is actually watching me. The other kids are laughing, but this guy is watching. Not just me. This was almost anyone didn't want to go in it. There was a few that didn't care. Most people were like, I ain't getting in the shower. So he would do that. Now, once you've done it, right? So he's seen everything now. He would do a method to herd you in the shower. And that was to slap your crack.
Yep. The classic.
Right? And if they would say
classic Benny Hill, isn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah. If they would say 10 kids in a row, it would be go on. Like that.
Yeah.
And he'd slap your cracks into the shower. Now, to me, that is weird, right? So you got the impression that things made you feel awkward. Then you got a crack slap. And then he'd stand at the end watching you with a shower. And the only reason he wouldn't do that is if he knows there's other kids that still ain't done it. So now he's got to go and stand by them and get it fixed. Now, to get out of this, if he ever turned his back, because he can't remember everyone, right? If he ever turned his back or he was too busy with another kid, you used to go to the shower, get a handful of water, bang it on your back, put your shirt on quick, right? So that it would show through the shirt and you hadn't dried yourself properly. That's the impression. The fact is you hadn't dried yourself at all. You haven't been in the shower yet. He would come round and go, wait, get in the shower. And you'd go, sir, I've done it. And you'd point to your back and go, here, proof. And you got away with it. Often that works, you know. Sometimes he would go, I ain't seen you do it. Now, that might be if he really liked you. Yeah. So I think, and then after speaking to my bro, I did go and tell my mum about it.
I don't think that's enough evidence. I mean, if you said
crack slap.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough evidence. I'm not saying it's not inappropriate. I'm not saying I wouldn't go home and say to my mum.
What about these days? I told my mum. And
what did she say? Toughen up a bit.
I told her, and she asked my... Sort of, yeah. She sort of did, right? But she was definitely concerned because she went to my bro and was like, listen, is this real, this story? And he went, yeah, it's definitely real. And I'm certain she didn't do anything about it, but she said, I don't think that's right, inappropriate, you know, just keep me posted kind of thing. So it was kind of like, look, toughen up. I ain't going to go into school unless I have to, but I'm glad you've told me and let me know if anything more than this happens. So she was aware and it was noted or whatever. But the truth is, I think I don't know, I can't remember whether he went or not, or whether things just changed as you got older. Honestly, I'll have to ask my bro, but it did feel like things changed a bit as you got older and he might have been a little less interested. That's a new string to the bow. I ain't sure about that. I'll have to ask my bro and go, do you remember getting grief when you first went there and not later? Because that's how I feel about it. I don't remember much about school.
Maybe you just preferred younger boys.
That's what I'm saying. So that's never been discussed. But if he thinks the same as me, if he tells me, yeah, he never gave me any grief in the 5th and 6th year or whatever, then I'm going to ask him.
Maybe he just patted you on the bum cheeks and thought, nah. That's,
not me, not just me.
That's a rubbish ass, that. I'm going to go look elsewhere. Now, I mean, look.
It weren't flat like yours. There was something going on with my crack.
Huh?
It weren't flat like yours. There was something going on with it.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm not going to get into an argument over who's got the better bum. But
no, I know. I don't blame you. It's not an argument you'll win, is it? And them grey legs.
But he, look, I definitely would go home and tell my mum and dad.
See?
I'd definitely be crying about it. We were lucky. We were told, look, you have to shower. But the teacher would then leave the change room and everyone would just run in there quickly, dick their head under the shower.
Well, there you go.
A few boys would be in there, lovering up. But we would just go in there, dash our head under the shower and then, be putting our clothes back on. And they'd come back in and be like, all right, boys, almost done. And be like, yeah, all good.
There's something to be said, though, what you said at yours is a few years later. So maybe they tightened up the rules.
Makes a big difference.
I think it does, yeah.
I think because if you watch, say, stuff like football or these, a lot of sort of male team sports stuff, they do tap each other on the arse a lot and stuff like that. And I would hate it if anyone touched my arse, even my missus, if she touched my arse, I'm a little bit funny about it. Like, where do you think you're going? So
it depends. Listen, if it's done as mates, it's all right though. The teacher ain't as mates. Teacher ain't as mates.
No. If I met up with you, say tomorrow, and I don't know, I lent you a $5, and then as I was, I said, all right, no bother, mate, see you later. And as I walked off, you tapped me on the bum. I'd really be confused and turn around and go, what the hell was that?
All right.
I don't think it's appropriate, but if you told me, say, stuff like, I used to make the boys wash each other and stuff like that, then I'd definitely be like, right, that is, he definitely needs.
Yeah. Well, maybe he was skirting the line, doing.
In my opinion, for good, that's
of course. But don't forget, maybe he was just doing what he thought he could get away with. So you're going, it's not that bad. But to him, it might have been, look, this is probably the most I can get away with without someone grassing me up or whatever.
No, but don't forget,
he might have done other stuff. Don't forget, I didn't look good. I weren't quite.
He might have done, yeah. But what I mean is, my year, but I'm a few years younger than you, and it was kind of like there was definitely none of that sort of stuff. You're saying you got a tap on the bum. Remember,
not just me. All of them. It wasn't just me. No, although he did. He's the one who called me fast and beefy.
There you go.
Same bloke.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Are we unlocking some doors here? Are you going to have a moment where you're just going to go?
No, it happened. No, nothing happened. Nothing. Not that I can remember. I might have blocked it out, innit?
Yeah, exactly. But like say your teacher was doing that. Remember when we spoke to my dad? I don't know if my dad's told you this. Obviously, he's a good, 30 years older than us.
Mm.
And he said that his teachers used to do stuff like stick his hand up their shorts and all that.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And he said no one, everyone just sort of like
accepted.
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it, to ever think that would be the case. I mean,
bizarre for us. Yeah.
If any teacher tapped my, let's put it this: if any teacher tapped my ass, I'd definitely go and tell my mum and dad. I think my dad would then turn up at the school, despite the fact that he used to have hands stuck up his shorts. I think he would still turn up at the school and have it out with a guy, probably punch his lights out. But I think now, if say I had a kid and the kid came home and said, teacher patted my backside when I went into the shower today, I don't think I'd be as relaxed as your mum and go, all right, well, keep me posted. I think I'll be going up to school and saying, what's going on here?
Okay, look, I agree with that, but that goes to show you about the different generations. So what are we saying then? Are we saying that we're pathetic, and can't handle anything? We should toughen up a bit? Because David...
I'd say more aware. Nobody needs to be tapping you on the backside for no reason. That's not a case of toughening up or anything like that. That's a case of what I can take a tap on the backside. Believe you me, it wasn't physically distressing, but what gives you the right to touch me in any way, shape, or form? That's simply what it's a case of.
How do you explain what happened to your dad then? Was that guy dodgy, or was it just a sign of the times that what's acceptable then isn't acceptable now? Because there's some things that me or you would say that things that aren't acceptable now, maybe they should be acceptable now, or because they're not acceptable now, we've got a drippier, saggier, weedier society for it. From the generations before.
I don't think you make a strong society by basically getting your ass slapped into the
but
shower.
I'm not talking about that specific thing.
Hand up your shorts.
Okay, I agree with that, but there's other things that were acceptable then that aren't acceptable now that may have... Yeah, the discipline stuff, right, that may have made for a better, more law-abiding, straight kid that comes out who isn't a weirdo
or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I think you know what I'm not doing a good job of saying it, but you know what I'm saying, right? You understand what I'm trying.
It's like I was speaking with my dad the other day, and he was talking about corporal punishment in schools, which is like smacking and stuff like that.
Okay, which he had, right?
Yeah, he had loads.
Yeah.
As well as that's probably why he didn't mind the hand up the shorts so much, because the alternative was a ruler across the backside.
Yeah, worse.
But he used to say stuff like, he said, sometimes you'd be, a teacher would say, look, you can do 100 lines, or I can give you a whack across the knuckles. And he'd be like, give me a whack across the knuckles, give me a whack across the knuckles, over in 2 seconds, and I'm out playing with my mates. But 100 lines, I'm going to be sat here for an hour with, writing garbage. So, I think all those kind of things do change people's attitudes. But obviously, like we've just clarified, no teacher ever needs to slap your ass into the shower. Or any
definitely not.
But what's that got to do with Said Nurmagomedov?
He hasn't, but nothing to do with it. I don't know. I have no idea why it came up. It doesn't matter. Oh, I do know why, and unfortunately, I know why, and I'll remind you why, because we haven't finished. But before I go on to the whole reason that it came up,
Chan Sun Young,
correct, the name and your non-real mate. But before we do that, I'm going to say something that remind you of something that proves you do not take kindly to things to do with your bum, because Beaumont, as a joke, used to try and stick the broom up your crack in the warehouse. You didn't like that. You did not like that. And even though I never ever put that broom up your... Hang on, I might have, mightn't I?
Yeah, you did, You did.
I think I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did. It wasn't... Look,
and mine weren't broom. Didn't I do things like pens and that? Biros. Yeah, mine was things like pens. Now, I ain't saying you liked that. I'm certain you didn't, right? But I do not ever remember any real adverse reactions. As a matter of fact, I can remember the reactions, right? I'll do them for you now, right? You'd be, say, picking an order, scratching things off on the clipboard. You'd get a pen up the crack as I walk past, and you'd do this. You'd do the move, obviously, like the off, and you'd turn around and go...
Like the electric shock move, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And then you'd go, can you not do that, please? Right? And I'd go, oh, shut up, right? And you'd go, no, I'm serious. Yeah, it's true. No, I'm serious. Can you not do that, please? And I'd be, stop being a big baby. And the thing that would be worse than the pen would be the fact that I'm saying, oh, get over it. It's only a pen up the hole. That kind of thing. It wasn't obviously up the hole, but you know what I mean? That would be more of that ended up.
It was close a couple of times.
Yeah, well, that would kind of be more your issue than the actual thing itself. You'd be like, all right, hang on, look, first off, I don't like doing it. And now you're basically telling me to accept it when I've told you not to do it. I think that was actually worse for you than the act itself.
Yeah, your reaction used to annoy me. But
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
It's also the fact I couldn't relax sometimes, and that's
you
why...
You did used to say that, yeah.
The day when I flew off the handle was because, I can take jokes as much as, anyone else. I think more than most people, right? And,
I agree.
And I'd had pens up the arse, I'd had brooms up the arse all day, and it's like, ha, yeah, very funny. There's only so many times you can get a broom handle or a pen up the arse before it starts getting a little bit tedious. And then when you couple that with the fact that you were doing stuff like getting those air cushion pillows, that full of air, and popping them by my ear as well.
Oh, God.
So there was that as well. And
it was not done in your ear.
It was.
That wasn't.
Right by my ear.
It might have been loud.
No. You done one right by my ear.
I didn't.
It made my ear ring. And then literally 2 seconds later, Beaumont came up behind me with a broom handle and stuck it on my arse. And that's why I flew off the handle. Because I was just like, right, now what's going on here? Because this is just stupid. I'm getting tinnitus off you on one side. I'm getting, Deliverance on the other side off Beaumont, and it was just it was too much. It was too much in one day.
Yeah, like people, what you say, I mean, I'll use your words, mugging you off or whatever, and disrespectful.
That's what I said to you after. I said, no.
Yeah, to me, yeah.
Off and I got the ump. And you know what you did? You rolled your eyes. And that drove me mental. But anyway.
I did.
We've moved past that.
We have. It's kind of like you say, different memories now. The complaint I've got about that is not what any of the things you said are okay, but I didn't. I don't say I've said it to you before, but I didn't mean to do it. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't do it in your ear. If it was loud enough that it was in your ear or by your head and it made your ears hurt, you know for a fact I wouldn't do that. I'll use the Ingers by purpose. I wouldn't do that by purpose. I wouldn't want to cause you any pain. Now, if it did, and it did hurt your ear, it's crap, right? But I'm saying that weren't the intention. That's the intention. That is messing around, going too far, right? But I appreciate that's after 20 pens up the crack, etc., and the reaction to that. And don't forget, that wouldn't have been the first broom you had from Beaumont up your hole that day either, right? So yeah. I get the breaking point. I have no issue with that either. The only thing I've ever had an issue with is that everything, regardless of whether it was me or not, it all came to me. Now I actually do accept why, but he never got done for shoving the broom up your crack. I got done for the broom that he put up your hole. It weren't me.
No. That's
yeah. Ain't no.
If you remember, what actually happened is I flew off the handle and he walked away and went into the office.
Well, go and speak to him then.
They done a bit of a runaway, and that's why you got left to face the music. But anyway,
I was nice to you, facing the music. I said, I was probably nice.
Rolling your eyes, telling me to, toughen up, stop being a big baby, and all that sort of stuff. So most people would have, gone up to HR. So let's leave it at that. But just about that guy, Chansung Jung. His name ain't difficult.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, go on then. Yeah, why?
The lad at school, like I say, the teacher was like, let me know of any nicknames and all that garbage. And he was going through the register, and he said Anand Patel, right? And he went like, "Here, sir," or whatever. And he goes, "But my nickname, or my friends call me Alan." Because and everyone was like, "What? Why?" And he was like, "Because Anand's too difficult to pronounce." It's just like the two most simple words in the English language put together, and then
another one, yeah.
And he went, yeah, because some people find my name too difficult to pronounce, so they call me Alan.
No,
and that's the same for me, Chansung Jung.
No,
there is no, or Chansung Jung. There's no reason to ever go, he needs to have his name changed because it's too difficult, because it ain't difficult.
Right. The Alan thing, we both know what was going on there. That's actually what he wanted to be called, and he's annoyed that he ain't called Alan, and he's called Anan instead. Because Anan ain't difficult to say, but it's a crap name, right? I mean, it's not very good.
I'd say Alan's just as bad. If you're going to get a new name, pick a good one. Pick Alan.
Unless
you're a big fan of Belcher, why would you pick Alan? I mean,
because it's closest, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but Alan, it's just not worth changing, like Anand for Alan. It's just, they're both just nothing.
Well, look, I agree with that, but if it was me reading the register, I would have gone, what was his name? Anand Patel.
Yeah.
I would have been John Smith and Patel, and he would have gone here, and I'd be, no, not you, and Patel. I would have got it wrong by purpose. I'd have been that cool a teacher. Would that have made me cool?
Well, I don't understand it, so I doubt it, no.
Oh, for God's sake, because it's not, I'd be saying it wrong. I'd be proving his point, and I'd be saying, and Patel, not Anand, so another kid. And he'd be going, yeah, here. And I'd be, no, listen, not you.
Yeah.
And Patel. Now, the truth is, some people, especially these days, would be telling me that that's nasty, making the kid, all the other school, because obviously all the other school kids would have been laughing and everything. And it's like what we did. You can never tell with school kids. They do weird stuff, right? We also had a kid who had a name, look, it is easy to say, right? Tang Nim. It's easy to say. If you look at it written, so the teacher reading it, it's Thang, Ngheim or something like that, right? Mm. Obviously, we used to read it, say it out as we read it, as it was said in school. But the teacher, understandably, especially back then, right, would have just gone and got it wrong, right? So we just told the teacher, don't worry. So this nickname thing might be a thing because I do not remember it, but we told the teacher, don't worry about that name. It's quite hard. This is just being, dirt school kids trying to be nasty in it. He just likes to be called Digit, right? I don't know why, right? That came up, right? I think I made it up. So when I told the teacher that, and it got confirmed by one of my other mates, I didn't really have any mates. I had one guy, the bully Gizzer, he was my mate. He was horrible, but he was my mate as well. He also said to the teacher, and they don't know what we're like. So the teacher accepted it, went, no worries, I remember that. And when it came round, John Smith, Digit. And this kid had no clue because, oh, by the way, he knows we've, yeah, I mean, he knows we've called him Digit before, right? But this was still new at school. So he was sitting there going, well, it's not me. It's definitely not me. And they're standing there going, Digit. And we were laughing, pointing at him. He had a red face and everything. So you could say that's nasty, right? Giving him bad self-esteem and all that. But that's why he has to toughen up a bit. This is going to happen at school.
That's all right. If he thinks that's a problem, wait until he has PE and has to get in the shower.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, without further ado, we'll go on to the fights because as I'm reading this out and talking to you, this event was 10 days ago. Yeah. So it might even be a day after that it even gets out to the millions of listeners. You know what I mean? So, the sooner we do it, the better. I'll say now, I apologise.
No, we're getting through this in one hit. This is going to be done.
We'll see about that, right? See about that, right? But look, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Nurmagomedov defeated Mark Striegel, KO punches, 51 seconds. Congratulations, Saeed.
Well, now wait a minute.
What?
Just hold on.
All right.
Calm down with that crap. Right, look. First of all, I'm going to say I apologise for the delay. I know everyone's been waiting with bated breath, right? So we're going to get to it. Now, hang on, because I don't think I've even said anything about the event. Commentators was your mate John Gooden, Dan Hardy, who, by the way, I'm not sure on this event, but by now, the date we're on now, he's cut his grease. Have you noticed? That grease barnet that he had that was terrible?
Yeah.
That's done. He's had his hair cut.
Hey, he obviously listened to the show, didn't he?
That was going to be... You picked it up yourself. It was going to be my next point. You know it anyway. I was going to let other people know. I know he listens to the show, but of course, he heard the show and went, those guys, we weren't taking the mick. We were just bringing it up. But he might have gone, I don't know. I don't really want my barnet taking the mick out of my grease. So I'll fix it. And he's fixed it. And now, honestly, he's become totally run-of-the-mill. No good. It's no good. Yeah. What am I going to say about him now? Oh, Dan Hardy. No, Dan Hardy grease was better. And this time it was Cormier. Now, look, I don't think we're going to get through this in one go. So I'm going to say now it's probably just going to be the prelims. We'll see. If we end up doing the whole card, we end up doing the whole card. I think it's going to be prelims because you chap, you're a windbag. So, I mean, look, the Barnhead, stop messaging me. Right. Flip's sake. Anyway, let's do it. I'll go through it, right? Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Mark Mugen Striegel. Right, after you finish that yawn, I'm going to say it again. Mark Mugen Striegel.
Yeah.
Okay, is it a good nickname?
I don't know. What does it mean?
I know what it means.
Go on,
I said it on the Broaders. It means... I'll change it to what it means. Ready? Mark Limitless Striegel. So Mark Mugen Striegel or Mark Limitless Striegel.
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah, we always say, look, if he was called Mark Limitless Striegel, it would sound rubbish. It's a little bit more intriguing when it's a foreign word because, like I say, you do look it up and go, "Oh, right, yeah."
Well, there you go.
And it don't sound too bad, Mark Mugen Striegel sounds all right, whereas Mark Limitless Striegel would be rubbish. But he has got limits, hasn't he?
He has, but I'm going to say, right, favourite was Nurmagomedov, and the winner was Nurmagomedov by KO in round 1. But I like the look of Limitless before he got done. He's an amazing bod for start off. That's not what I'm saying. Well, it is what I'm saying. He did have an amazing bod, really good. But I'm saying I did actually think he looked all right. And then he got done. But you say you didn't see this fight.
I saw the knockout. So I saw the ground and pound.
Well, that's good that you saw that, because I'm going to say that the ref, Lucas Bosacki, he done a brilliant move. Now, I'm guessing you didn't notice it because you ain't said anything about it, right? But I've never seen it before. Normally, they stop the fight, they jump in, push the fighter off, wave it off, etc., etc. You've seen the many different ways they stop a fight, right?
Mm.
This is the first time I've seen it. He put his hands over Limitless's face to block any more punches. That was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Stopped him getting it anymore. He just put his hands over his face. He went, no. No more punches in the face.
Yeah, he's had enough.
So if you could watch that again, I'm sure you'd like it, because that was good. I'm going to say it was a late stoppage on Striegel because he covered up, which is normally, we don't like people stopping fights on glove punches, etc. But he covered up before he got mashed out. He covered up, and to me, he had enough of it. And then he ended up going out for more punches, and the ref then had to cover his face up to stop the punches. Honestly, I'd say it was crap reffing. I think that guy got mashed, and he didn't need to get mashed. I think he said enough before his face got smashed in that he was out of that fight, personally. Yeah. And I don't normally say stuff like that. I'm normally like, I should have let it go. No. I thought it at the time, went, oof, he's definitely out of it. Next minute, he's sparked out, So not very good by that ref. Sorry, what was his name again? Lukas Busaski or whatever. He's banned. Next fight, unless you've got anything else to say, because you didn't watch it, did you? Well,
I saw the like I said, I saw the finish. It's a nice sort of straight ground and pound from that guy, wasn't it? It did look. Those punches came down like little sort of arrows or what have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, in that regard, that was quite good. But it's difficult to really read too much else into it. So yeah, next fight I didn't see. So let's get through that one and all.
No. I might have things to say about it. This one is Gad. Let's have a look at this name here. Gadzhimurad Antigulov versus Maximus Grishin. Well, nickname Maximus Grishin.
It's all right, isn't it?
No,
it's pretty.
Too same, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Maximus. Yeah, it's too same. But
no point. Might as well change your name to Maximus. This is the first time I've seen this ref. His name was Anders Olsen. I've never seen him before.
Yeah, like the Nordic sort of guy. Dead. Yeah.
Never seen him before, so he's a new one. I don't know. He must be known to UFC. I've never seen him before, and that's all there is to it. And we like the refs. We definitely make note of them. This one was Grishin. He won it. He was the favourite, and he won the fight. Listen, Grishin looks like John Cena. That's all there is to it. I mean, I thought it was him when he came out. Same bod, same face, everything, apart from that he didn't do the move. In round 2, the Antigulov, he got mounted for ages. And the ref didn't stop it. And the reason I liked that he didn't stop it is because the punches and elbows were weed. They were doing nothing. And I like the fact that the ref went, it's all right, I don't care that you're in a dominant position, that you're in mount. This ain't doing anything. I like that was recognised. But then with about 3 seconds left of the fight, of that round then, he stops it later on weed cage punches. I was like, so you didn't stop it when he was mounted, and he's done the same weed punches up against the cage, and then you stop it. So Anders Olsen, crap. So he's crap and all. 2 crap refs in a row. Next fight.
All right.
Next fight, yeah?
I think that might come up again, though, that the ground and pound question is going to come up again. So I'll bear that in mind. So yeah, let's get on.
Yeah, see what ref it is and all that, yeah? I don't like this version when you're sitting in the pitch black. I can't see anything. You've just got a black square.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
But I like looking at your lovely face.
It is a nice face, but...
Yeah, it is a good face. You remember that? Remember that woman who was handing out UFC Fight Pass codes for a trial? She said you had a nice face. Do you remember that?
That's right, she did.
I was standing right there.
Only because you gave her a sob story that I was losing my hair, so she felt she had to say something to sort of stop her, you know,
Unawkward the situation.
Emotional, breakdown.
Well, let's put it this way, right? You can say whatever you want. I'm crap. I'm nasty. You know, I ain't nasty because let's face it, no one that night said I had a nice face. So, whatever. Next fight. Jamie Malarkey versus the Smile Killer, Faraz. So let's just stop there. First of all, Jamie Malarkey, that is definitely an Ingers we can do with that nickname. Jamie, all the Malarkey. Have you got a better one then? Go on then. Right. Jeez.
I haven't actually got a better one. I hated this fight though.
Well, okay, hang on. What about versus the Smile Killer, Faraz?
Yeah, I mean that might be one that has been lost in translation to some degree.
Yeah, it could be some truth in it.
Yeah, because he's not English, is he? So, see, that's one of the classic ones that he should have it in French and then let us translate it, and then we can go, oh, that means the Smile Killer. It probably sounds cooler in French.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. But maybe he should have done what a lot of the others do, leave the French word and then let us look it up, you know? Is he saying he's a smile killer because, I mean, he's not going to have a fight with Sam Alvey, so why is he killing smiles? Is it like everyone he faces has got... So I'll tell you what, it's actually a really crap nickname. So let's just say I bump into him in home base like you did Gooden, right?
Mm.
And I go, oh, hey, Mr. ZM. And I've got a smile on my face because I'm like, oh, my God, Mr. ZM. And he looks over at me and he kills the smile. Well, that's good. And he ain't going to be for fighting because people across the cage aren't normally, unless they're John Dodson, they're not normally smiling at you or smiling Sam Alvey. But Alvey's letting you know. Not only has he let you know with his nickname, he's got it shaved in the back of his head. So he's let you know. Normally fighters don't.
Shaved in the back of his head.
Yeah, well, yeah. I know he don't, but it's crap in it that. But why is it the Smile Killer? It's not a very good fight name. But we don't know the origin. Obviously, we don't.
That's it. Yeah, there might.
Maybe you can comment. Maybe you can leave a comment on the channel. And
that's
let us know why.
Maybe there's a video where he chats about it. You know, something that happened in the gym or something like that. One of his trainers gave it to him, something like that.
Well, when you speak to him next, do you mind asking him?
I'll ask him. Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
It's a rubbish nickname. I didn't like the fight. I didn't particularly like either of these guys' fighting styles. Wasn't particularly impressed by them. Decision was a little bit contentious, maybe. I had zero problem with it, but I could understand why that Malarkey thought he'd probably done enough in round 2 and 3 to get it. But I got a feeling that even though he had more control time on top, at least when Ziam got on top, he actually tried to throw some punches and tried to do a little bit of damage and did do a little bit of damage, whereas Malarkey just seemed to kind of just hold position and not really do anything else. So I really didn't like this fight. I don't really got anything to say about it.
I have.
Go on in.
Because it's quite surprising. We normally pretty much agree on a lot of things, certainly what we think of the fights. I'm not surprised that you didn't like this fight, but I have to say, for a wrestling/grappling match, I actually thought this fight was all right. There was bits of it that I quite enjoyed. So it's very rare that you see people turn the tables like Ziam did when he went from the bottom to top. You know, he was on the bottom. Normally he'd end up staying there. He'd done an amazing, whatever you call it, sweep or whatnot. And it was towards the beginning of the fight, though, so it would have been harder for him to do this later on in the fight when he was tired or whatever. But I like the fact he didn't settle for any of those positions. He switched it round, and I thought that was quite good. But so I thought this fight was okay for one of those types of matches. No, I wasn't on the edge of my seat and excited, but I just went, at the end of it, I went, you know what? That was all right for a wrestling grappling match. It was okay. It was at least had things going on in it. That's what I'll say about that, the fight. But given the amount of takedowns and top time by Malarkey, I was also surprised by the decision. But exactly the same as you. This bit, I completely agree. I was a little bit surprised by the decision, but I was all good with it. I went, well, whatever. However, let's go through some numbers for you quickly. This is the thing, right? This is how respectful we are. We're on a prelim fight here. Jamie Malarkey versus fellow Ziam, and we're having a chat about it. Right. That's how qual we are with this, right? Malarkey strikes 35, yeah? Now keep these in your head. You're quite good at numbers. Just have a little think about this, right? We said, we're not sure about this decision. We're okay with it, not sure. Malarkey, 35 strikes. Ziam, 42. Okay, well, Ziam's brilliant, right? He's won. Not by much, though.
Yep.
Malarkey, takedowns, 5. Ziam, takedowns, 1. Registered takedowns. Not trying to get them, getting them. 5-1. Is, just quickly before I move on, is that percentage-wise, I'm not putting you on the spot with maths, is the 35 strikes to 42 and the 5-1 comparable percentage-wise? Or is that 5-1 a lot more distance between them than, so, you know what I'm trying to say? Is that comparable? Do we negate this now? Because he had a little bit more strikes. Ziam had more strikes. He had 42.
Well,
and Malarkey had 35. And Malarkey's takedowns were 5 and Ziam only got 1.
Yeah, but this is the problem, see. So let's say that Malarkey, I'm not saying this is what happened, but let's just say Malarkey got all 5 takedowns in the 3rd round. He didn't. Let's say he got all 5 in the 2nd round.
Yep.
So therefore, the strikes were even. Then Malarkey clearly gets that round. But then if you say, but Ziam outstruck him rounds 1 and 3 by, 3 strikes each round, then Malarkey loses the fight, even though statistically you look at it and go, what, he got 5 takedowns and, blah, blah, blah. He should have, surely he should have won that fight. But it's about when you do the takedowns, how much damage you do, what kind of takedowns they are, how long you keep the guy on the floor for, all those kind of things. But the truth is, when that decision was being read out, I did think Malarkey was going to get it. But just knowing MMA scoring, and it was also a decision that I would have happily agreed with. And I was surprised that it was unanimous, all went to Ziam. 29-28, but when it did get read out for Ziam, I wasn't like, oh my god, that's an outrage or a disgrace. I kind of went, well, this is what happens when you get top position, but you don't advance or you don't do much in the way of ground and this and the other. So, I'm not really that bothered about. That's why I'm not that bothered about the stats either.
All right,
I've seen some fights for where the number stats of strikes landed is huge for someone.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pity patty strikes on the ground that just that, to me, probably about 10 of them add up to about 1 jab because there's just nothing behind them. They're just pity patty. They're just for the ref to stop ref standing them up or whatever. So
that's why you're on the podcast. Context. That's why you're on the podcast. It's exactly why I asked it, to create a little chat about stats versus watching the fight. So without watching the fight, Malarkey's won, right? But when we actually watched the fight, we were okay with it.
I still thought Malarkey won.
Yeah, I know you did, but you're also okay that the other guy got it, right? That Ziam won, right? Me too. I haven't quite finished so you're right. The point we've brought up there is that the stats don't necessarily. We'll use the usual speak to tell the story of the fight, right? They don't always do. They don't always do. But the last stat I've got for you, tell me if this changes things, because you did bring this up, is that Malarkey's ground control was 4 minutes 46. Mm-hmm. And Ziam's ground control was 1 minute 11. Mm-hmm. So, let's just say you've watched the fight. We're going to put you in the ref seat. I've given you the stats. Don't know if refs get the stats. Irrelevant. It's my organisation. I've employed you as the ref. You've agreed to position. You can't leave the seat, even if you've got skids. You're there. You got to watch the whole thing, right? And you didn't even like this fight. It's boring, but you still got to watch it. So there's no getting out of this. You agreed it. You're watching it. So I've given you all the stats as well. Malarkey was worse on strikes. Ziam was better on strikes by a little bit. Malarkey was way better on takedowns. And the ground control was 4:46 versus 1 minute 11.
Yeah, so 4 times as much.
What's your decision, please, on the fight? You've watched it as well?
I told you I'd have given it to Malarkey. I do, but let's put it like this. I prefer 1 minute 11 of somebody advancing, control time, of somebody advancing position and landing a few decent strikes than, like, say, 4 minutes spending majority of it either in full guard or trying to advance position and the guy constantly blocking it and getting off a couple of pity power hammer fists when, they're holding you tight and stuff like that. I just, that's what is worth more points to me. I'm not that, I don't score that highly someone who's just got somebody on the mat and then isn't doing much with it.
All right. Well, okay.
But it was like I said, I still would have given the fight to Malarkey. But it was hard to get sort of any kind of emotional upset over it, because it wasn't a fight I particularly enjoyed. I didn't think either guy looked that great either, and it's in that lightweight division, and you've got to kind of be pretty decent to sort of stay afloat in that division. So
right. Well, okay. Well, listen. Thanks for your input. I love it. It's great. Like I say, it's why I asked you the questions. No notes, no set. Well, you could say you've even been set up, because you have no clue that I'm going to ask you that. And the answer, I mean, this is why it's become your profession. I mean, it's obvious. Great job. Nice job. No more malarkey. Let's move on to the next fight. Jung, the Iron Turtle Park, versus John, the Welsh Wrecking Machine, Phillips. So, I can't help this. They've given me nicknames to discuss. So we're going to discuss them. Jun Yong, the Iron Turtle Park, is the first one to discuss. If there's nothing to discuss, fine. I'll move on.
I like the Iron Turtle.
I like it as well. I think he looks like an Iron Turtle. I like turtles. I think it's good. It's interesting. It's very different. It's good. And I'd like to know the reason behind it. It probably is that he just looks like a turtle, but I like it as well. So he's brilliant. But what about then? Okay, fine. There's no more discussion to be had. We like it. John, the Welsh Wrecking Machine, Phillips. Before you give me the answer of what you think of the Welsh Wrecking Machine as a name, I'll say that Park was the favourite and he won by unanimous decision. Don't know if that changes what you think of the Welsh Wrecking Machine, if you saw any wrecking, or if you've seen him fight before and you've seen the wrecking. But I don't really like names that say things. So we've mentioned one before, one that I didn't like. So Hands of Stone, Sam Stout. The reason I don't like that nickname, even though Hands of Stone is a good name, moniker, whatever, is because you're setting yourself up for stuff, and it's like, well, if you don't smash anyone out, then it ain't a very good nickname. Doesn't mean you, like, for example, right, I could say, well, you got to be like your nickname. That's what people are going to think I'm saying. Well, then the Iron Turtle's not good then, is it? Because he's not actually an Iron Turtle, right? So it can, I could get done with this. But he ain't saying much. It's just a bit of fun. Iron Turtle, Iron Turtle. He ain't saying what he's going to do. He's not saying, I could then go, oh, so he's going to be slow then, is he? I mean, I think he was pretty slow, right? But he was. But if you're going to call yourself the Welsh Wrecking Machine, you're just setting yourself up, ain't you, really? You've got to be, I mean, maybe he does think he's a Powers Wrecking Machine, but...
Well, I'm just going to say that he is, I don't know if you remember him, I watched John Phillips a few times before he got into the UFC. A fair few times, in fact.
Don't ring a bell to me.
I think you'll definitely have seen him because he's been in Cage Warriors and stuff like that.
No.
He was in Cage Warriors, and Bama and all those kinds of things. But I remember him from those because he used to be called the White Mike Tyson.
Is that what? So are you saying that he's changed his nickname?
Yeah, he used to be called the White Mike Tyson, and now he's called.
That nickname, I remember. So I do know this guy now because I remember that nickname. That's even worse.
But if I take out the losses from John Phillips' records,
okay, I'm listening.
Should I say? He, I think that those names. Look, White Mike Tyson's not a very good nickname, in my opinion. I don't like the Welsh Wrecking Machine either. But if I just tell you why he had that moniker, so to speak, I'll just give you his wins, okay? KO, TKO, 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 KO, TKO, 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 submission, KO, KO, TKO, KO. So that was before he got in the UFC.
These TKOs, the results you're reading out is what he's got. They're his wins.
That's right, yeah. 20 out of his 22 wins are knockout.
Powers.
And the other 2 wins are submission. So he's definitely worthy, if you like, of that nickname.
I'm agreeing it, yeah.
Of that
100%.
Kind of but obviously, once he's made the step up in class to the UFC, he's been found wanting a little bit. So he's lost 5 of his 6 fights. I was surprised to actually see him on this card just because he has lost, 5 of 6. Well, he's lost 5 of 6 now, but at the time he'd lost 4 of 5. He'd lost, I don't know if you remember, he'd lost to that Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, I remember that fight, yeah.
Obviously with was getting ground and pounded for ages, and then he kind of put up a good resistance because he really got a lot of ground and pound in the first round and then got submitted in the second. But yeah, I mean, going on to this fight, and it was just 3 rounds of boring, pity patter, ground and pound. I just can't
agree more.
Fights like this. Look, it's Phillips's responsibility to be able to work his way up from the bottom, right, and get out. Like they were saying on the commentary, wasn't explosive enough or quick enough, or wasn't making the transitions quick enough, whatever. But honestly, I actually hated Jun Park more than John Phillips in this fight.
Both crap.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is if John Phillips had, say, someone's back or, was mounted or had someone in the position that he was in for 3 rounds, I'm sure he'd have knocked him out.
He'd have blazed him out, yeah. I agree.
But this Iron Turtle, maybe he's called the Iron Turtle because he just basically sits there and doesn't do anything, because he just sat on top of him and sat on his back, and he was hitting him with such weedy little pitter-patter shots. And I know some people go, oh, I'd like to see you get in there and take him. Well, I'm not being funny. If I was that weight, I would have no problem taking. I'd have no problem taking those shots. Not being that weight, I'm a lot smaller. Those punches had nothing behind them, and it frustrated me so much because either he had one eye on his cardio, or he doesn't know how to get much leverage in his strikes or something when he's, just main focus is on position. But honestly, I really hated that fight.
Terrible.
Because John Phillips couldn't get up out of the positions that he was in.
Yep.
And it was all too easy at the start of each round to put him back in those positions. So that was frustrating for me. But I was watching that ground and pound, and I was just like, put some blooming elbow grease into it, will you? Don't you want a TKO or a finish or people to talk about it tomorrow or whatever? I mean, he just literally was just tapping him. So it must have been frustrating for the ref as well, because the ref must have been going, I would stand these guys up, but I've got no justification. The guy is throwing and landing strikes.
Yeah.
But honestly, if I was the ref, I'd have been like, listen, if you want to keep that position, it's fine throwing strikes, but you're going to have to start putting something in them, because I'm not going to let you stay there for 15 minutes, literally, tapping the guy's face, because that's what they were. 90% of those strikes were taps. I hated this fight so much because of that. Like I said, I actually hated the Iron Turtle more than I hated Phillips because of it.
Yeah, it's one of the worst. Look, even though I've got nothing to add, I'm still going to, right? But all I'm going to do is reiterate what you said. To me, it was a typical fight with an Ingers, and going to say he ain't Ingers because he's Welsh, right? But you know what I'm trying to say, same principle, just getting taken down. He did one good thing, Phillips, which he didn't mention, which was that back elbow. When the turtle was on his back, he sort of did this and it cut the turtle open. So it was one good move. So he did the most damage with one strike from the less dominant position. That goes to show how much better he is. However, he did get taken down and he didn't get up. And I'm sorry, but he just didn't look like he was even trying to get up. You got to try to get up. I ain't saying it's easy. I'm not. But sometimes you see people buck and twist and turn and push and try, and they still don't get up, right? But this was just like, I'm just going to lay here and get done. And obviously the reason he didn't get done is because exactly what you said. He didn't try and get up, and the weed punches on top were terrible. As a matter of fact, here's a little stat for you. I don't know if you heard this, but the Iron Turtle, he broke the record for ground strikes. And Phillips looked exactly the same at the beginning of that fight to at the end of the fight, which is absolute proof of how weak those strikes were. I'll repeat it, and I'm going to have to do a repeat. He broke the record for ground strikes, and Phillips never had a mark on him. That is weed. You can't stay in that position 15 minutes, essentially, and not finish it, because it didn't. Part one by unanimous decision, and it made the fight crap. And I do understand the ref not standing him up. The guy's in a dominant position. He got it there. Like you said, he had no justification to stand it up and no justification to stop it. Which meant we had 15 minutes of crap. Weren't a good one. So I agree.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I do think there was a definitely. I know you didn't mean that there was no desire to get up from Phillips or whatever you said.
Of course, he wants to get up.
Yeah, obviously he wants to get up. The problem is when you get shut down. So, like, say, he's obviously a big puncher and he relies on that big punch. And you can tell by the way he fights that he's all coiled up, to, kind of like Dan Henderson, to land that sort of big strike. The difference is Dan Henderson is rock hard to take down. So
but he's got wrestling base in, I suppose.
Of course, yeah. But that's what I mean. Is like he has that ability to rely on that one punch KO power because he can keep it standing for 15 minutes. So he gives himself a hell of a lot of opportunity to land that KO punch, right? Because he's making the fight take place standing up for 15 minutes. So you've got to avoid the big H bomb for 15 minutes when you fight him.
Dangerous,
the problem with Phillips is he's got big, say, knockout power, but he's too easy to take down. So his chances of landing that strike, especially if you've seen the last couple of fights, he's got maybe 1-2 opportunities to land it at the start of each round before he ends up on his back. And like they were saying in commentary, he wasn't dynamic enough. So obviously I think the desire that was there, all those kind of things, the toughness to, sort of try and ride it out and this, that and the other, all that was there. But if you want to say the technique or the athleticism wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that's what cost him. But like I say, I still disliked Park more. And I'll tell you what, when he done that stupid face at the end of pointing to that cut and doing that like little face, like, oh, boo, 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 I've got a cut as a joke. I was
a bit of character.
It would usually be, but maybe I was so angry with him.
Yeah.
For the performance. Look, I don't want to see John Phillips get beat up, right? Like you say, he's a British guy, so there's that natural sort of like, come on, Phillips, get up. And I did have that, I have
me too.
Fights, right? I definitely wanted Phillips to do good. And the fact that this guy was not doing anything on the ground made me want him to win, made me want Phillips to win more and all that sort of stuff. But, this other guy, like I say, his ground and pound was atrocious. And if you're going to be that kind of a fighter, which I'm assuming he is, because I didn't see much of him on the feet, if he is going to be a ground fighter, I mean, he showed nothing in the way of submissions, and he showed nothing in the way of devastating power with ground and pound. So you tell me, how on earth is he expecting to win fights in his career? So
I mean, he won
really,
the fight. But you
really
mean like actually finishing fights? Yeah. How does he expect to finish fights?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He never improved a position. He just got a position and stayed in that same position.
Yeah, held it. Yeah.
What happened to flattening people out? What happened to that move of kicking your legs back if you're going to be in a back mount for all that time? Why didn't he do that then? Why didn't he do nothing? There's two things.
A lot of the time, though, don't opportunities open themselves up because somebody is distracted by the power of the ground and pound or what have you. And so they're like,
you wriggle into a bad spot.
I've got to move my hand here to protect my face. And in that time, you can slip your other, your forearm under their neck, or you can, then start, pulling them away from the fence or, flattening them out, as you say. But because the ground and pound was just pathetic and nothing, Phillips could just stay.
Yeah, but you see, I'm going to have a bit of a go at Phillips now because of those extra chats you've done. Because the truth is, it kind of annoys me about him. Because if the ground and pound is that weed, which it is, because like you say, he was unmarked and he didn't look in trouble at all for 15 minutes, right? And why didn't he take a bit more risks? Like, I don't know, look, say, spin round into the guard so that he's now facing him and do something. He did one good thing, which is that backwards elbow. But if it's not hurting and now it's happening, do something. You can't, again, the turtle cannot expect, well, he won, right? But I agree with what you're saying. He can't expect to at least finish fights if he's going to be like that. Well, you know what? Well, Phillips can't expect to win them doing that. And he can't expect to be on his feet all the time, slugging it out, because people are now going to look at him and know for a fact, this game plan for this bloke is just take him down and lay on him. He needs to fix that problem and learn or whatever how to get up. I ain't saying it's easy to get up. I'm not. But
I'm sure he practices it a lot, right?
I bet he does.
I'm sure he does. But the truth is, you're in MMA, you're not in boxing.
Nope.
And like you say, everyone's going to look at his record and go 20 knockouts and 22 wins. I don't even care if that was against, cab drivers and tomato cans. That's still impressive.
Yeah, I ain't letting him hit me,
And they're just going to be like, if they've got any kind of wrestling, but especially after seeing the last few fights, they're just going to be like, all I have to do is, he's basically like never mind the white Mike Tyson, more like the white James Toney. How about that?
Yeah, you can take him down by grabbing his toe.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
I hate that fight, and you know what?
Yeah, so did I.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you finished on it, but if you
have. Okay, I have, but I mean, I might not be. Let's go.
Well, no, I finished as well. 30-25 on all three cards, by the way, for people. I would have given it 30-27 because I don't think any of that ground and pound deserved the 10-8 round.
Oh, of course, that means I'm not
you
real
have
at maths. That means 10-8s. Yeah, terrible. 10-8s, I agree with, as in massively dominating. But dominating to me isn't just taking someone down and laying on them. I bet you Dana White hated that fight more than we did. I mean, they're both probably going to get cut, the pair of them. I bet you they both get cut.
Well, John Phillips will, unfortunately. Like I say, I like to see British guys in it and whatever, but I think unfortunately he's at 5 out of 6 now losses. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? You can kind of go back to a more European-based promotion where he's, they're less sort of takedown heavy. Get a few knockouts on his record, maybe brush up on his sort of skills of keeping it on the feet and getting back to the feet, and then maybe come back.
Don't forget, you're right about keeping on the feet. It's a very good point you've made there. This isn't just about getting up once you've been taken down. It's about stopping the takedown, whatever, exactly. Pushing the head down, just not getting taken down.
Making someone pay for even attempting a takedown, right?
Exactly. A knee to the face, an uppercut, an elbow.
Hard, and they get nothing for it, right? And they spend a lot of energy. They might even get clipped once or twice while trying to take it down. And that deters them from taking it down. But you got nothing. So anyway, hopefully improve. I can't see how that Jung Park is gonna improve, because to me just showed no dynamism, nothing really. So
look, he lives up to the nickname, man. He's definitely Turtle.
We did, yeah, and like I say, no justification for 10-8 rounds in my opinion. Now the next fight, I'm sorry, I know that you usually do this bit, was Gillian Robertson versus Botelho. Poliana.
See, this is why I do this bit, because it's not Gillian Robertson, it's Gillian the Savage Robertson.
Okay.
So, right.
That name needs changing. Go on.
Needs changing. That's it.
Yep.
So I agree with that. Yeah, go on. Carry on.
Versus, no, obviously she's got a nickname now that I missed out.
No, she didn't have one.
Okay, Poliana Botelho.
You enjoy yourself.
Right, well, again, Gillian Robertson won this unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-27, 29-27. Personally, I thought the better fighter, like somebody who I thought they look a bit more like they've got more potential, is Botelho out of the two.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't think Gillian Robertson is a savage. I don't think there's. I mean, she's ranked, right? She's number 12 in the rankings, I think. I mean, we spoke about.
Oh, she were getting sniffed in after that fight. This is what we're saying about Robertson. The improvements in her game and this, that, and the other. And she just did pretty much the same as the bloody Turtle. Now,
yeah,
crap. And look, honestly, I handled it for as long as I could, and then the classic fast forward had to come in. It had to. Listen. People might think I don't want to watch women's fighting. No, I just don't want to watch crap. That's all there is to it. And honestly,
of course, yeah. I mean,
I'm happy for her. She got a win. Great. I'm happy for her. I even respect these two getting in there and having a smash. Right? I ain't having a smash. I'm all good with it. But crap is crap. Non-entertaining is non-entertaining. I handled it as much as I could. I know it's only 15 minutes, but it was. Well, it doesn't have to be, right? It could have been a finish somewhere, but we've agreed it armbar or decision in women's, and it lived up to the typical thing. And I'm sorry, I had to fast forward it. I couldn't handle the weed. You could hear it. Weed strikes, weed shouts. Did you hear the shouts on each of the weed strikes by Robertson? Could you hear that? That needed fast forwarding as well. Did you pick up on it, or did you have it fast forwarding all?
No, I did hear some strikes. Yeah. When it right towards the end of the fight, she was doing. Yeah. Is that right?
Oh no, she was doing them all the way on every strike, but yeah, the ones towards the end where it was like, now I can really go nuts. Yeah, bad quality.
Like you say, it's got nothing to do with anything other than the fact that, like you say, non-entertaining is non-entertaining. Just as a comparison, I was Man U v Chelsea was on the other day.
Yeah,
two of the best teams in
big teams. Even I know that. Yeah.
Two of the best teams in England. Have lots of the best players in the league. Not the two best teams, but in the top 4 or 6 or so.
Yeah,
just behind Aston Villa, and they had a match, and I was watching it behind live time, and honestly, it got fast forwarded because about 60 minutes in, there was no shots. Both teams looked like they were just happy to settle for a point. It was like watching just paint dry. I couldn't handle it, and it got blazed right to the end. And I was just like, I missed nothing.
And they're 90 minutes then with a break in the middle.
Exactly. It ended up being 0-0, so it was the right decision, and it was it was no good. And this to me was the same. Look, it's just simply stuff is either good and entertaining or it's bad and not. And this wasn't an entertaining fight for me. I'm sure there'll be somebody who's a little bit more, say, grapple savvy, who might appreciate some of the finer aspects or elements that may be on display. I like grappling and wrestling, but a certain type. I like submit. People like Tony Ferguson, people that are always looking to grab something and submit, and then unleash elbows, and this just, like we've said before, if a fight is entertaining when there's that element of suspense and I don't know what's going to happen next. In order for that to exist, there needs to be the element of anything can happen here. There can be a knockout, there can be a submission. I watched this fight and I was just like, this is just going all the way to the end decision.
Yep. And it did.
And that's why it just lacked any excitement for me. And after Jun Park, he'd already sucked the life out of me.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Jamie Malarkey, Faraz Ziam, Jung Park, John Phillips, they're all men. And they were crap. I said that Malarkey fight was all right, but I'm just saying, if we go off what you're saying, look, it's nothing to do with it being women, crap is crap, right? There's a fact, the previous two fights, you didn't like either. They're all men. So, that's it. That's all there is to it. So crap is crap. That was crap. I ain't excited to see Robertson fight again. Why would I be? It wasn't exciting. I will watch it. Maybe I won't because fast forwards, but I will definitely attempt to start to watch it. And if it ain't good enough, it's getting done. I'm sorry, it's getting done. And it'd be the same.
By the way, and that's the same for Jun Park.
I was just about to say, if the turtle fights again, he's getting the same. My finger is going to be on that fast forward.
Of course, yeah. And this is what sometimes I think people fail to understand. When they talk about McGregor and they go, oh, such and such should get as much money as this person, and this person should get as much money as that. It's a lot of the time. It's like, yeah, in an ideal world, you're right. But at the end of the day, you are what you kind of
show.
Yeah, what you present to people. You're a product, and you're given, if you like, advertising space almost. The UFC is almost advertising space for your product, right? You go out there as your fighter, and some people aren't very good on the mic, but they're explosive fighters and they're exciting and they get a following that way. Some people, they may look amazing as, Sage Northcutt, right? But, that kind of thing, they might have the right look, where they look cool, Adesanya coming out with the dances and all that. And that makes people go, who's that guy? The guy that came out doing all the dancing or whatever. You're a product, and how you sell yourself is important. And
and the chat's selling yourself, but so is the fight. The chats you do sell yourself, but the fight is also selling yourself. As a matter of fact, the fight is what most people see.
Of course, and that's the main aspect, because if you can have all the chat you want, like Chael Sonnen did, but towards the end when he was getting beaten by everybody, people's you lose patience with it, because you can give it all the West Lynn, Oregon gangster chat all you like, but at the end of the day you're getting banged out or tapped out by people really quick, so you lose a little bit of faith with people lose a bit of faith in you or what have you.
Yeah. But what I said about you the other day when I called you all chat, same thing, isn't it?
What's that?
It's just what I said about you the other day. I called you all chat. It's the same. Right. You end up losing breath with it and go, listen, you're all talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
I don't believe you anymore. But that's what's good about McGregor, right? He's had exciting fights and he had good chat. Adesanya has had a couple of stinky fights, but on the whole, he has good fights, and he has, he has chats and the walkouts and stuff like that, which is why he's now become, blowing up and being a bit of a superstar. John Jones, he had good fights. He hasn't had for absolutely ages, and
but he still keeps it because he don't fight that regular. And when he fights, he wins them. So is that mystique?
Yeah.
Apart from
he keeps himself in the headlines as well.
But
by hook or by crook.
Right, by doing weird chats or doing against the law stuff or roids or whatever. But even so, even the fights, you're still going to tune in. You're still going to watch them because he ain't been done yet. He has. Don't ever say that. Matt Hamill done him. Since Matt Hamill
smashed him in
yeah,
easy.
since Hamill smashed his face out, he ain't been done. And these things, they keep you relevant as well. To go, well, look, no one's managed to do him yet. Whether he's got all ploddy and not exciting, or he don't train very hard anymore. Say whatever you want. He still ain't been beat. Even if you go, yeah, but Reyes did beat him. Really, no, he didn't. Yeah, Santos beat him. No, he didn't. He won both those fights as well, and that is all there is to it. So he's still relevant.
A little bit of an aura as well, doesn't it? You know,
of course,
having an unbeaten record and
not unbeaten. A good streak. Unbeaten.
And you know, that's the same with this Jun Park and all that sort of stuff. You know, you can do the laughs and jokes about the little cut over his eye he wants and hope that you know gets people interested in him. But I'll give you the perfect example: Derek Lewis. That guy's had in just so many boring fights, some of the most boring fights in UFC history, but people find the chats afterwards funny. They find him funny, and he's got a fan base and a following because of that, and because of, you know, some of these Twitter
and sometimes he blazes people out. I mean, you never know with him. But you said it earlier, the suspense. He might blaze someone out with 1 point. Look at the Volkov fight, terrible, right? And he blazed him out at the end of round 3 or whatever. So if I think that was a 3 round, I can't remember because it might have been the main event.
It was right at the end of the fight when it was like 2 seconds left or something.
Yeah, but knowing Lewis, it could have been a main event because he's in loads of them and all. But like you say, the point is,
but how did he get in the main event?
You know why? Because he's interesting.
Exactly, and that's what you've got to do. And you know, so you have to have one of those. That ideally, you want both. You want to have good chat and you want to have good fights, but you have to have at least one of them. Otherwise, forget it. You're just going to struggle at the bottom of cards. Whether that's fair or not fair, you know, that's another matter. But you're just going to struggle at the bottom of the cards, and you know,
sort yourself out. Sorry.
Yeah, but obviously, if you're not a chats person, don't try and be like.
No, not the chats. No, you can't do Phil Davis's, right? You can't fake it. You can't do De Niro impressions like what's his name, Lamas. You can't do those things, right? Even what's his name, Jorge Rivera, the bloke who had to go up business, those vids he did about business and all they were crap and all, right? So it don't work. It don't work if you force it. What I mean by sort yourself out is, if you've just been on someone's back for 5 minutes, right, and you felt the guy and you know what's going down, and then round 2 starts and you get the guy down again, you now know pretty much that you've got another 10 minutes to sort this out, right? So sort it out then, because you know the threat ain't there. You've proved it ain't there. You had 5 minutes where you proved it weren't there. Now you've done him again in the second round, taking him down. Let's say you're still not sure. It's now the end of the second round. You get up, go back to the stall. Round 3 starts. You got the guy back down on the floor and you're on his back again. Listen, he needs to sort himself out, because had he had smashed Phillips' face in, he'd have been, you know, people would be going, he looked powers, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked good. I'll look forward to seeing him again.
Right.
The thing is, right, we know it's not a simple case of, you know, just sort it out, just knock him out or whatever. We know,
of course
it's not a simple case of that. But the problem is, it's the seeming lack of ability or desire to do either of those.
That's what I'm saying. In his position, he could have sorted it.
At round 3, he rolled off Phillips's back, absolutely exhausted, and Phillips got up with a smashed in face or whatever.
I get it.
Well, he'd done his best to try and
get
that fight finished. But he didn't. He got off his back. Didn't look tired.
That's what I'm saying. He had full breath.
We've gone back on to Jung Park.
Yeah, but you're saying it. Yeah, but that's exactly it. You just said, look, it's not that easy. We know it's not that easy. It's not. But in this instance, it was. He's seen what to do. He's proved what to do. He didn't watch a vid. He's physically doing it. He now has a full 10 minutes. He knows after the first 5. And if you don't know after the first 5, he knows after the first 10 what's going down here. He's got plenty of breath. Beat him up. Like you said, we ain't trained fighters. I'm telling you now, I did harder. And that Phillips is a big fella, you know, and I still think my punches would hurt more than what he was doing. It's just crap.
I actually think Phillips would have preferred it, because it might have given him a bit more of a chance to either have an early bath or actually try and get up back to his feet.
Might have done a picket and woke him up. Yeah. Then it might have got him a bit more like, listen, you know, I'm going to have to do something about this rather than just lay here. Yeah, maybe.
I think what I'd say about those fights, those last 2, lackluster. That's how I found them.
All right, no problem. Well,
but I actually quite liked this next fight. This is one of the ones I liked. So.
Okay, well, the next fight got fight of the night. So it looks like you're in agreement with the UFC brass, right? This one got fight of the night. I mean, I didn't really like this one. This was a double debut by both blokes. Mateus Gamer Gamrot. Right. I think we might have to talk about the surname instead of the nickname on this one. Mateus Gamer Gamrot, right, versus Guram Georgian Viking Kutalezade. I think something like that. Anyway, sorry, I ain't real at names. I ain't Anik. I don't get sent little voice clips at first of how to pronounce names, right? I just have to read what I see, and I'm Ingers. So this fight, favourite was Gamrot, but the winner was Kutalezade by split decision. I thought that records-wise, it was a little bit of a nasty matchup. Not what you see normally in UFC. So 2 debuts, fighters, 17-0 for Gamrot and 12-2 for Kutalezade. So I thought that was a little bit... You don't normally see records that disparity between records. Not normally in UFC, right? So that was a little bit of a surprise. Kutalezade had an amazing bod. I mean, I really, really like that bod. I mean, that was qual.
I was gonna say to you, incredible.
It was. There you go. Good word. Incredible. Yeah, absolutely right.
Just
unreal.
Like he didn't have 1 ounce of body fat. Everything. It looks like when he sneezes, you can see his whole rib cage and everything expanding,
amazing,
and contracting, and stuff going on in his neck. And here's the thing: I'd obviously not seen him before, and all that sort of stuff. But I'll tell you what, I took one look at him, I took one look at his physique, and I thought, I think this guy's going to be good. And I know that Gamrot came in with all the hype. You
liked him because he was a crash with a good beard. God,
well, yeah, there is that little extra affinity. But that Gamrot, he obviously came in unbeaten, highly touted, 17-0, and all this stuff. Beating Norman Park a couple of times and all that. So, he's got some names on his record.
Listen, difficult person to beat, Park.
He is, yeah, because he's
very difficult to beat.
Good all-rounder and all that, and he's so...
He grind you out version. Yeah, very difficult one. Yeah.
And so I did think, and the way the what's his name, the commentators were talking was like, this is a bit of a... I think he was short notice, was Kutalezade. And I think he was like, probably... This was supposed to be a little bit of a coming-out party for Gamrot. That's the impression I got. But honestly... After the first, minute or so, I thought, I think he's going to lose this, Gamrot. And I actually liked Kutalezade a lot, both during the fight and after the fight. He was brilliant as well. I like this guy quite a lot, I think.
Okay, yeah, you're saying it's one that you're interested in. He's made a good impression. He's done a reverse turtle.
That's right, yeah.
Reverse turtle. Fair Ingers, you're absolutely right with that. Look, it's been a while, 10 days. Honestly, you said you liked this fight, which is good because it means you remembered it and whatever. I don't really remember really liking this fight. I actually thought it was a bit of a nothing fight, so I'm not going to watch it again. I ain't that interested. But yeah, I don't remember liking it. I don't remember hating it either. That's why I'm going down the middle and going, look, it says fight of the night. You know what? It's making me want to watch it again. And I was on the prelims, so I will be able to watch it. I was going to say I deleted it, but I will be able to watch it on the prelims. I'm going to rewatch it. Fight of the night, you've said it's good, and I've got down it's a bit of a... I just don't remember it being good. It's just a bit of a nothing fight, that's all.
Well, all I'm going to say about it is...
I'm wrong.
Lads say, he was using a rubber guard, which I always like when people use... a rubber guard, shows a nice little bit of dexterity and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, try doing it in real life using rubbers.
He was
practice what you preach.
He was trying to... I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, last time you said you didn't know what whores is, so that was a lie. And now you don't know what rubbers are, right?
But using that, he was quite active off the bottom in trying to get out. Because the thing I thought is both these guys were all right. I thought Kutalezade, I thought his kicking was good. I thought his striking looked dangerous. He looked long, lean. They were both fit, as in they both, went at quite a pace for 3 rounds, and they were both still, looking decent at the end of the 3rd round. And I thought Gamrot was good because I think he had a bad 2nd round. I think I had him down 2 rounds. I had him losing rounds 1 and 2, and he came back quite a lot in round 3. But obviously not enough. And I think that's obviously how the judges scored it as well.
He changed
his game plan. He went a lot more wrestle heavy. So the first round, it was almost like the first round and a half, he kind of was happy to strike. And then after sort of the 2nd round weren't going too great for him, he sort of switched up to a wrestling game plan. So I liked that he had that ability to adjust and change and make a real difference. 'Cause he didn't just try and wrestle and then just pin the guy against the cage for ages or not do anything. He actually got him down on his back and was, being effective on top. So I thought he was decent as well. So both of them I thought were decent. But I quite like that. I just think that Kutateladze, I'll just say it, he had something about him. And then at the end of the fight, I like the fact, we've said before with Ryan Bader off the Glover Teixeira fight, and people are when they're self-critical, he was quite good, Kutateladze, because he said, that was rubbish. I didn't win that fight. Yeah. He wants to run back. We'll do it again. But I didn't win that fight. And I was just like, I think I really like this guy.
That's an amazing comment. Yeah, this is what you just said, though. This is what you said just previous to now, that it's about the full package, right? He looked the part. You liked that because he's crashed out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the bod because you like bods. And you thought he was quite a good, both of them, by the way. You thought both of them were decent bods and good fighters, right? But I'm just talking about the bloke who you're saying is a bit of saying about him, right? It's the full package. You thought he was a good fighter. He showed a lot in the fight. And then he doesn't have to be crazy chats. He done decent, respectful, good chats afterwards, which showed something about his character. So you got to see a bit of everything about him with the time you had. And your impression was, I like this guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. The Turtle didn't do that.
No, he definitely didn't.
He didn't do it. You didn't like the bod. Now, he's crashed out. So he probably was off to a good start.
He wasn't.
Well, it's a non-real crash.
Yeah, he just shaved his head.
You just done an Ainsley. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Right. So there you go. There's the proof of it. He tried to be your mate, right, by trying to look the same. And you saw through that and went, don't give me that. I know that ain't a true crash.
Yeah, he's not a real part of the ball community. So,
exactly. Right. So
definitely is.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And he proves it by the beard quoll, because we've agreed the beard quoll comes out once you crashed, right? Unless it's you. Unless you want to build in, right? But if you look at the Turtle, he's got off to a good start, but you saw through that. You didn't particularly like the bod. He done bad fights, and you didn't like the way he behaved afterwards with the carton pointer. I'm just saying, not saying you didn't like it. I'm just saying you didn't think that was good either. So, Turtle, bad impression. I'm going to go with Guram. I'm bored of that second name. Guram, good impression.
That's right, yeah. I'm not saying like he didn't look out of this world. It wasn't like the most amazing fight I've ever seen, but I just think it was for a debut for both guys. Like I say, both went 3 rounds, effectively. Both showed changes in their game, sort of adapted to what was going on. Both decent. I think they're both all right. But if I had to pick one, I preferred Kutateladze. So
I see.
Yeah.
I see how it is.
Well,
so here's me switching to the Guram. There's me switching to Guram and you showing off.
No,
you're an Anik.
Just to say, if he say goes on now and loses his next 3, I don't want you coming back and saying, you said he was world champ and all that. Yeah, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying he was a good, decent fighter.
We've got it on record. You've given it all the chat now. This is what I've said. You give it all the chat. Now I ask you this question: in school, on the register, Guram Kutateladze, does he get the ring of what's your nickname?
He can definitely call himself Alan.
No, because he's got his own thing, the Georgian Viking. That's easy enough to say. Georgian Viking, here.
Yep.
But I bet when he was at school, he didn't look like a Georgian Viking then. He does now, but I bet he didn't then. I bet he looked weedy, like everybody else. Well,
maybe.
Yeah, I didn't look weedy.
I have to see him get in the shower, innit? Give him a little tap on the...
Yeah, that's not an agreed move. Right, so have you got anything else to say about that fight? Mateusz Gamrot versus Guram Viking Kutateladze? Or have we finished on that?
I'm finished.
Yeah, so am I. Right, well, I mean, we did decent chats about it, but I'm going to use this little moment because that was the last fight on the prelims before we do the main card. We'll start a different show for that. Just to say that DC's getting on my nerves in this event. And I know you mentioned the same thing the other day, that he was getting on your nerves and all. It was a bit where he said to this fella, Guram, he went off to do chats to the cornermen of the blokey.
Oh, yeah.
And
And
DC sort of grabbed hold of him, but not grabbed. That's a crap comment. He sort of lured him back and went, "Hey, Guram, come on, it's interview time." That was one of the things that I definitely remember that for sure. And then earlier on the card, he told another bloke to focus and watch the screen to explain the fight. They say, watch the big screen and talk us through what's going on. That rubbish method that they do. He said to him, "Now come on, focus, watch the screen, and explain the fight or whatever." So there's
wasn't the guy not a native English speaker as well?
Correct.
So
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Honestly, I can't remember what fight it was, but yeah, I do remember that for sure. But they had the translator there and everything. Look, I'm in two minds with it. When I was watching it, I'll be dead honest with you. It actually was getting on my nerves, and I thought, you're getting a bit too big for your boots here. That's the sort of thing I was thinking with it. Just calm down, you know what I mean? Like, running the show type thing. But I guess you do have to take control in those situations. But I've never seen that before where people have felt like they've had to take control so much that they're telling the people off. What's your opinion on it? Because I know we didn't discuss it, but I do remember you mentioning it to me going, yeah, DC got on my nerves a bit. What's your opinion on it? They're the only two things that I remember for sure.
Well, neither of those things. Although I do remember when he spoke to Kutataladze like that, I was a little bit like, all right, there's ways of going about things. I appreciate from his point of view because he's probably got someone in his ear, right, in the truck going,
yeah,
come on, we've got to go to ad break in 30 seconds or something. So I do get it.
Same here.
But I was a little bit like, that was a bit abrupt, let's say, or what have you. But my main criticism from DC on this card.
It wasn't this.
No, it was about the
unbelievable. This is brilliant. So he's going to get double smashed. I didn't realise. I was so certain it's going to be these things that I noticed. I know you've said you noticed them, but yeah, go on. What is it then?
Yeah, mine was about the main event, so I don't know whether I should bring it up then or bring it up now. I'll bring
it up because we're talking about him and what we thought of him on the card. So yeah, do it.
Well, I mean, I can't really remember now because this card was about 18 years ago.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But it was basically the way he was just talking about Ortega in the sense that he was just a grappler kind of thing. He kept on kind of making comments that, basically kind of made it sound like he was, before this fight, he was Holmes Gracie, and this is the first time I'd seen decent striking from him. And as far as I'm concerned with Ortega, he has got some submission finishes, but his submission finishes are generally from when people are trying to either shoot in on him or because he's striking is working and they're getting a bit desperate. I've never really seen Ortega, and maybe you can correct me. I don't think I've really seen Ortega, particularly not in his last, fair few amount of fights. I've not seen him go for a takedown.
No, he's always doing punches and everything.
Yeah, or roll for an ankle. He's more than happy to stand and strike. And don't forget, he's he knocked out Clay Guida.
Smashed out Edgar with an uppercut.
Yeah, done Edgar with an uppercut. He stood with Max Holloway for the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure he stood with Moicano and Cub Swanson for basically the whole fight as well until he submitted them.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head every single fight that he's had and what percentage of it took place on the floor. But I'm pretty sure that guy is more than happy to stand, has done for the bulk of his fighting career in the UFC, and I actually think he's damn good at it. I actually think he's got, and this is before this fight, and this is what annoyed me about his commentaries, because it was like, they were talking about him like he was a scrub on the feet before. And I think he's got some of the cleanest, most technical sort of striking. For a UFC guy, I think he's got decent footwork. He's got a nice, he throws nice, long, straight punches. He doesn't throw big Hail Mary shots. As we'll discuss later in the Chan Sung fight. He's got one of the best jabs as far as I'm concerned because he's quite a tall, lean guy. He fires out that jab nice. He throws real technical strikes. I really like his striking.
He looks like someone who's started out as a grappler who's been taught striking and taken to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's looked natural. He's looked like a little bit like Henry Cejudo, right? Henry Cejudo did do amateur boxing, I think, stuff like that. And he looks a little bit like that. Okay, he's excelled in grappling, but this guy probably done a hell of a lot of striking training when he was growing up as well. That's what he looks like to me. He always did. And it was just annoying me that his commentary was like, oh, wow, this is, a new wrinkle to his game and all that kind of thing. And I was just like, it ain't.
He's not watched does he not watch his fights? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how it actually made me feel. I was like, his striking's always been brilliant. What really improved, and I won't go into it now.
No, not too much.
Yeah, what really improved in this fight was his striking defense and his, if you like, his decision making of when to engage and when not to engage. We'll cover that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember shouting at my telly a few times when DC was making comments. I was like, you're talking about this guy like he was basically, I don't know, like I say, like a Holmes Gracie or something, that he was just a grappler.
Ranny Yayas and all that.
Yeah, exactly. He's nothing like that. He's always had good striking. I mean, it's, he got beaten by Max Holloway on the feet, but he was being very competitive for the first few rounds. And I can't remember, but I think it was either the second round or the third round. After that, I was like, I think he's going to do Max Holloway here. I think it might have been the second round, but obviously he sort of faded after about round 2, and he kind of just started engaging a bit too much and getting, took too much damage basically. And I think that just compromised his whole game. But yeah, that's what annoyed me about DC was, like you say, he was talking like he'd never seen Ortega fight before. Because if he has seen Ortega fight before, the guy's got really, really good striking.
Yeah, I guess he was latching on to the whole, new camp, new training thing, and trying to make so much out of it. Because by the way, I agree, there is things that have changed that were improved, but it doesn't mean his striking wasn't improved. But yeah, a new wrinkle to the game. I don't get that either. Yeah. All right. Well,
I can't remember. He was sort of saying it a little bit like, before people, mainly had to worry about the, the submission attacks and the grappling, but now they've got to worry about the feet as well. And it's like, he's always, the people have always had to worry about the feet as well. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's got, I don't know, what is it saying? I think let me just check. He's got three knockouts in his wins. He's got 3 knockouts and 3 submissions. So, I mean, it's a 50-50 split. And let's not forget, like I say, a lot of those submissions presented themselves from people shooting in or being a bit desperate because he was
doing them on the feet.
Yeah, mowing holding his own on the feet. So that's what annoyed me about his commentary in this one.
Yeah, and if you don't know, say DC hasn't watched any of the fights. Let's just say he ain't. Has he not seen the Toyo Tires advert?
Exactly.
There's more proof of it.
Yeah, I mean? That's what you see. Yeah,
right.
A few tires, and then it's.
What more do you need?
Yeah, he's got it going on.
All right. Okay.
Too much because I was just about to go off on one there about how good I think he is. So
no, we'll do that when we get to his fight. But so DC's been smashed, and obviously we like him. And I don't like what we said with other things, Dan Hardy and stuff. We don't want people to be stiff robots. We want him to be himself. And I guess that's DC being himself. It's just not the chat. I mean, the bit I said where he's having not a pop at the fighters, but the way he was speaking to them was a bit. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit not professional, if you like. But I don't really like professional. What do I want then? Anik? It's the thing. I'm in two minds with it. I don't want Anik doing nothing and not reacting to the situation. At least DC saw something was going on and reacted to it. So I kind of like it. But and if I was the boss, I'd also be very wary of going, listen, rein it in a bit, because he might then go, I don't really know what I am or ain't allowed to do. Because obviously I want him to be himself. But so I don't know how I would fix the problem if I was involved. I'm just saying that to me, it struck me of overconfidence and getting a bit too big for his boots, and he needed to just calm down a bit. You know what I mean? It's not like Granite Grant. He's not doing everything. Granite's doing a lot, isn't he? He's doing everything.
Reffing, presented.
Yeah, bangs his tie off and gets in and does the reffing and all. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like DC, and I don't think the calling the guy, but like you say, he could have done it in a bit of a nicer way, perhaps, and all that. But listen, if he carries on stepping out that line, we'll just force him to have another smash with John Jones, teach him a lesson, get him all crying.
That's a shame that really did work perfectly. If he wasn't too old, hadn't agreed to retire and stuff, it really worked perfectly. That Jones kind of should have banned the Stipe thing and just gone Jones heavyweight version and see if he could have done him there. But shame that never worked out, really. But
I mean, if Cormier did beat Stipe, you know, in the rubber match or whatever,
yeah,
it would set out perfectly because that'd just be the perfect scenario, wouldn't it? You just go,
you would.
You know, smash Jones versus DC. They can play on the whole DC thing of saying, you know, well, I struggled to get down to 205. You know, now you're going to get the real smash DC version at heavyweight and all that. You know, I do think even though Jones won the previous 2 fights, I think at heavyweight there'd have been enough intrigue there to sell the fight and it'd be really popular.
They would.
And I would have been interested to see if it would have made a difference. I don't think it would.
I wouldn't have taken it if I was DC. Forget it. Because it's already bad enough that he said himself, didn't he? I suppose there's no question about this. If I've been done twice, then it's cemented, you know, is basically what he said. And if I was him, I wouldn't take the risk because getting done 3 times, is it really worth it? You've already got over the other, not saying he's got over them, but they're done and dusted. You move on. I ain't taking a third one. And
if you get twice done, does that really matter? Because let's put it like this, right? When, like, say, for example, if I played you on Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, right?
Right.
And you won like 20 matches on the trot. And then I done you.
Likely. So you've used a good scenario as in me doing you on a fighting game, but I suppose you chose Mortal Kombat. Why Mortal Kombat?
If I played you, and let's say you done me twice, I've got nothing to lose by playing the third one. I don't think I'll be like boo-hoo-hoo about it. And you say you done me the third time, I'm just like, who cares? You've already done me twice. It's like, if anything, I'd be more worried about if I was John Jones because I was like, imagine I lose to this guy now.
Yeah, but no one's there.
You always say the only reason you done me is because I was weight drained or whatever. So, yeah, I think DC would have nothing to lose if he took another smash.
His reputation, his legacy.
No.
All right, well, ask him. Tell him to, try and convince him to come out of retirement and take it. You're going to chat to him later in the week, aren't you?
I don't want him to. He didn't look very good in that last Stipe fight. Well, see you later. Not interested.
It was bad qual. It wasn't very good. Yeah. Well, there you go. He gave it the chat. I'm going to do wrestling and blaze him with wrestling this time. I know where my strengths are, and didn't do it.
Well, Habib said in the build-up to the Gaethje fight, didn't he? He said about, you tried once on John Jones for the takedown. Difference is, I'll try 100 times on Gaethje.
I did hear that, and I really liked it.
So did I, because I see a lot of these wrestling blokes, and they seem to have about 3, 4, maybe 5 shots in them for the whole fight. And I'm just like, when you wrestle in a wrestling match, you're grappling non-stop for ages. I mean, just get on with it. Don't just shoot him once, shoot him twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I know it's tiring, but train for it.
Well, he's supposed to be trained for it, and he said just keep going, keep trying. So you didn't get him down once. Like Khabib said, I keep going until they're on the floor, until they're where I want them. Yeah. So yeah, bad qual. Cage interview skills. No, I am on the fence with that. I like him being himself. It's good to have someone with a bit of humour, a little bit of something about him. But like I said, it was just a little bit, know your place. But I suppose he is knowing his place. Is he taking control of the situation, right?
Yeah, but I like Cormier a lot, so I ain't going to badmouth him too much. Other than the fact that didn't like his commentary, particularly in the main event, and like I say, could have just been a bit nicer about how he sort of relayed
treating them like kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Treating them like children. Yeah.
How about he relayed the urgency to him and sort of like I said, come buddy, come on, quick. Something like that might have been a bit better than,
Yeah, come on, interview time, Guram. What the flip? What's going on? And the other bloke's like, listen, tell the bloke to focus and tell me about the fight. It's like, I could have just not done any interview and gone, see you later. Done a BJ Penn, because he used to do that, didn't he?
Why didn't you focus in the interview, after the Jones fight rather than crying your eyes out? I never understood why some people took the mick out of that, or even
why.
Yes, it really means nothing to me that he cried. Was I supposed to? some people sort of like, I don't know, they make memes and or whatever out of it. I'm just like, am I supposed to think less of this guy because he cried over, losing something he desperately wanted to? I mean, I'm just
Yeah, but
no
loads of
embarrassment.
people do cry. Why don't?
Yeah,
Why did he get such a hard time over it?
I cried after a fight a couple of times.
You were like 5.
No.
10? 8?
One,
8? You
yeah,
were young. What I'm trying to say is that you were young, very young.
I cried after one fight when I was 10. About that, give or take, whatever. Another fight when I was probably about 13. So,
All right, so you didn't learn from it. When you cried about it, did you cry because you thought you could have won? You let your dad down. Your bro was going to take the mick out of you. You know that you sort of didn't train for it. It weren't for you. Do you actually remember the actual trigger point of what got you to the point of crying? Because crying, there's lots of things that can make people cry. But would you remember what the reason was? Because it's good, because they don't really say the reason. They just go, "Oh, that fight was important to me." Look, you weren't a UFC fighter getting paid loads of sheets, so I know it probably isn't the same reason as them, or they don't say what you're about to say. So I am interested.
It was a little bit of all of what you said. I think if I could probably think about it now and try and understand why I cried, I think it was, to me, it was humiliation. I would probably say would be the
crowd, family, everyone.
No, my family didn't really go to the fights. Just my dad.
Yeah, but he were there. So I'm saying, okay, so let's just say your dad, your brothers, because they fought, they did fights as well, or the crowd, because there was people there, wasn't there?
Yeah, they were at one of them, but it weren't about that. I just basically didn't want to fight that night, and they were forcing me to have a second fight. I'd already fought that night, and they forced me to have a second one. I didn't want to, and if I'm being honest, I think the kid I was fighting had a real, sort of bad reputation as well. So they'd softened me up by putting me in for a fight at the start of the evening. I was all a bit shattered, and it's like, can you go in against this kid who's meant to be powers, was bigger than me, and all that? So I didn't want to do it, but. So I think I cried at that one. Not very proud of that one. That one did deserve a meme. Luckily, this was before the internet days. I did go back in there, by the way. I did have the second fight.
You weren't up for it.
No.
That's not why you cried, though, is it?
Yeah.
Well, you cried because you lost in a fight that you didn't want to do.
So I didn't want to have the second one.
So what?
So I had the first fight.
Yeah.
And they were like, look.
Oh, you cried before the fight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. I thought you cried because you lost. No, you cried because you're like, look, I don't want to have this fight. Then you started crying about it, for real. Yeah.
But I still got in there and had it.
Yeah, you still did it, yeah. But it was, you didn't want to. Nothing wrong with it.
It was a bad experience as well because the kid, like I say, the kid was a lot bigger than me. It was a real rough house, and he ended up pushing me to the floor. But it was his home card show. So when it weren't a punch, it got pushed to the floor. It was, not even debatable. But obviously, because it was his home show, everybody,
went
cheered.
Nuts. Yeah.
Went nuts and cheered the place down. Like it just, done a Czech Congo on me, Czech Congo Pat Barry on me. Yeah. So that was.
So that made an impression on the judges. That's what we're saying?
It wasn't a scored contest. It was what they used to call gym shows. So it's before you weren't allowed to legally have amateur fights until you were 11. When I say legally, I mean you weren't allowed to have fights that were scored as a contest until you were 11. So these were used to have fights called kind of like exhibition fights, basically, and they're supposed to prepare you for, how long the fights were, the intensity, and all that sort of stuff. And there was no winner or loser at the end of it. So it was one of those.
Okay, so but did you feel like a loser at the end of it? That was a crap comment. I mean, do you feel like I'll change that? I'll change it. Did you feel like you lost that fight, not felt like a loser? Because that isn't what I meant. Did you say if that was scored, did you get done?
I'd have to ask my dad. I don't think I did really feel like I got done. No.
Would he do proof, or would he be? Oh, it's my son.
No. He would do blatant truth. You know my old man.
Well, that's what I gathered. Yeah, but
Yeah, he would not go like, nah, you were amazing, son. If I got done in a fight, he'd say, you're
Yeah,
nah,
got mashed.
yeah,
Let yourself down.
yeah, it'll tell you. And I think maybe that's partly why I cried in the second fight, because I knew I'd fought really badly. It was a kid who I'd fought before. And again, it was another kid that when I fought him, they said to me, this guy's got a real, reputation. He's real sort of young up and comer. And I boxed his ears off. No problem.
The first time.
Yeah, no bother. And then I took another fight against him, and I hadn't been going down the gym and trained for ages. And I put in a real turd of a performance. Obviously lost the decision. And I think it was all those things combined. I felt like I kind of let myself down. Probably thought my dad was going to give me an earful. And like I say, just a little bit of the humiliation, especially if you've lost to someone who you kind of know you can beat. That feels a little bit, it stings a bit more because you're a little bit like, shouldn't have got done there.
What was the gap between the two fights with the same bloke, kid?
I don't know, maybe a year or so. I mean, I'm
different
talking
fighter back then. You know what I mean? Different fighter back then a year ago.
Yeah, but you're talking about a year of me sitting on the couch doing an Andy Ruiz, eating potato chips, living the high life, doing a Dan Bilzerian, a couple of girls under my arms, all that sort of stuff.
Did you, take him lightly, underestimate him because you'd done him before?
No, I think it was another fight that I weren't particularly interested in having. I kind of got coerced into doing a bit. When I say coerced, I don't mean in a bad way. I mean in a way that probably I could have done with a bit more coercion in my career, because I'm a very...
career?
Yeah, it's a stupid word, wasn't it? But you know what I mean. That really was it. We'll have to edit that out. But you know what I mean? Like, as in, I'm not a guy who's like, get me a fight. I'm not like that.
Yeah, you needed pushing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I needed pushing. And I think my old man and stuff like that, he pushed me in a good way and tried to do his best to keep me engaged in the sport and all that. But I think I just hit the point where I wanted to watch Neighbours, Home and Away, and EastEnders.
Of course.
To go training. So,
join the club.
Yeah, that's just the reality of it. And obviously, I deeply regret it now. But,
do you?
I do, yeah.
Because, in all seriousness, because you think that had you put effort in, it could have been a career, knowing what your brother went through, him actually being, not that you're not good, by the way, or anything like that. I am being deadly serious. Knowing that somebody who you know for a fact is good, your brother, and how far he did or didn't go with it, do you regret it? I mean, is it worth it? Looking at your bro's experience, would he say it was worth it?
I think so. Yeah, you've got. Yeah. I mean, he's got a couple of achievements there that what do a lot of people achieve in their life?
The majority of people don't have those achievements for sure. Yeah.
I mean, historically, he was the English national champion. He won that belt. That's I think it was the first. That was a new belt. So he was the first sort of English champion.
Does he still have the belt? Do you know?
Yeah, he still has that belt.
Still fit.
We're talking about, real legitimate professional boxing here. We're not talking about he won a Muay Thai world championship, never fought a Thai fighter in his life. We're not talking about one of those make-believe sort of world championships. He was a legitimate, ranked fighter in his weight class in this country. He fought, as you know, for the British title. That don't come easy. He done very well in that, almost won it. It was very close points decision. And these are things, even if he didn't do those things and he just had nothing he sort of created, it's still something you can be proud of, still something you can...
Well, I agree.
And it's still an experience, and it's still all those things. And so yeah.
So are you saying you think you missed out?
Not really, because I don't think obviously, as I showed from the discussion we've just had, I don't think I had the mental, the correct
attitude,
correct mind frame. So in that regard, I can't go kind of, I could have been a contender. Nah, nothing like that at all, because I didn't even have that basic building block. You know how far that can get you, right? Look at people like Bisping, who are obviously good, talented fighters, but let's be honest, they're also not that elite, athletically gifted sort of fellas. But he's got such an amazing mindset. He'll take any opportunity he can. He'll go in with anybody. He'll pit himself against anybody. And look what kind of career he made out for himself.
Well, lots of people, and we've seen it. This isn't us making things up. Lots of people have been through things like what Biz has been through and retired and given up. And I can't remember what fight it was. He lost one of the fights close to get, one of those fights. He had a couple of fights, didn't he, where if he won it, he would be fighting for the belt, and he lost. Maybe. And I just remember him saying, I ain't going nowhere. But he weren't joking. That was real. It weren't just chat. It was real. Where some other people go, I'm not sure. And I get that as well, by the way. That's real. I'm not sure about this. Maybe it ain't for me. I'm going to have to go away and have a think about it. He didn't need to speak to no managers. They didn't need to speak to no coaches. He's telling you, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Not a run of the mill, I'll be back. It's like, I ain't going nowhere. I loved it.
I'm pretty sure he said it a few times. And I mean, if you want to talk about after fight interviews, he's probably got the best ones. I like McGregor's and all that, obviously. I do genuinely think
Jorge Rivera Spitz, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was brilliant. But he's good because you always feel there was an element of what's the word? Premeditation
for the word.
Yeah, premeditation about some of those interviews. Like say Chael Sonnen, you almost felt like most of it was scripted. Whereas Bisping, he really always, it appeared anyway, spoke from the heart.
Reacted to the moment.
Yeah, and it really did come across. And I can't remember, there was one fight, there's probably one that was my favourite, where I actually think he did lose. But like you say, he basically said, I'm going nowhere, blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of people kind of, in the comments underneath, when you watch him on YouTube, kind of like go, ha, ha, he ain't, who does he think he's kidding and all that sort of stuff. And he didn't go anywhere, and look what he done. Won the title.
Absolutely.
And he's a real shining example of, it's a little bit of a smash what we're saying, right? We're kind of saying what you can achieve with the right mindset, because we're kind of belittling his athletic credentials.
No, yeah, of course that's how it can come across, but it's not. What you're doing is saying how important each component is, that it ain't just about being a good fighter. Someone like, look, it's difficult when we don't preempt these discussions to pick someone out of thin air, but I have picked someone out of thin air, and I choose someone like Uriah Hall, who himself will say, and you've seen him, he's got all the skills in the world, but himself will say, I haven't always had the right mental attitude to win the fights or fight to my potential, etc., etc. That kind of thing, and it does get you somewhere. Forrest Griffin's another one. Got the guy a belt, and that's all there is to it. Got the guy a belt. He is all right at fighting. I'd say he was decent for that era, for that time. He was decent. You know what I mean? He was decent, but not the top of the top. He ain't better than Shogun. He done him. You know what I mean? He done him. That's all there is to it. So that's all you're saying. You're not saying that business ain't good. You said it at the beginning. It's still an elite fighter, but it isn't just your skills. We can all look, not all, but people can look good in the gym and on the bag and on the pads and everything. It's not the same. You've got to have, first of all, you've got to have the mental attitude to actually take that further, and then you've got to make it show when you're in there. See what happens when you see a bit of blood and all that stuff. All that's
he's often come up against that little obstacle and his face smashed in, or come off the back of a bad round or whatever. And
Anderson Silva, that knee to the face at the end of that round. We've seen it plenty of times, and this is no disrespect to the people that have, say, sat on the canvas and gone, I've had enough of this or whatever. He didn't. He went, well, am I still in this? Is the bell gone? Am I still in this? And once it was agreed he was still in it, he sat on that bench, that stool, and went, no worries, I'm going to go out the next round and smash his face in. And he did.
He did do that once.
Did he?
Against Super Cop. The greatest fighter that's ever existed in UFC history. I don't care what anyone says.
Absolutely. That cyborg version. Yeah, Vitor Belfort is who we're talking about. Yeah, Vitor Belfort. That souped up cyborg version, there's no better fighter than that. Him, souped up, on his day when he's trained as well and everything, unbeatable, absolutely unbeatable. I'm actually a real good example of, say, a science lab project where you go, well, what would happen if there were no rules and you could do whatever you want? What would happen then? So here's what would happen then. We've tested it. His name's Vitor Belfort.
He's like a Brazilian Ivan Drago, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Brilliant. I mean, really good. Really good.
They done a little bit of I don't know what to do here. You know, I know he definitely in his head will have wanted to carry on fighting, but he did do a little bit like, I don't know how to deal with this. You know, when he was on the floor, just sort of a bit turtled up, and Belfort was just doing hammer fist down on him. I think he was like, yeah.
Was after that spin kick to the head, wasn't it? Or was it a normal head kick? Was it a spin or a normal roundhouse? I can't remember because the spin was on Rockhold.
Rockhold got done by
Bizar's got done with a normal head kick, I think. You know, a normal roundhouse to the head as opposed to a spin. Because he was spinning everyone. He spun Dan Henderson as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he's just a whirlwind, wasn't he, for a little while?
It was amazing. You remember that fight with Akiyama where he didn't even punch him and just the wind knocked Akiyama out? Remember that? Didn't even touch him. Didn't touch the bloke. Just the punch went past his face and then knocked him out. That's real. I'm telling you now. I watched the replays, the slow-mo and everything. Didn't touch him.
Yep.
He's the man, definitely.
Yeah, the only person who done him in that era was John Jones, wasn't it? But that was a short notice fight up at light.
Yeah.
That didn't count. So,
and he almost done him. Remember, he mashed up his arm, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, the version that was just laying waste to that middleweight division just for a little while, and then when he got testosterone, he turned into a sag again, didn't he? So
yeah. I mean, he's a really interesting career to follow. If you want to look at, I don't want to call it the bad side or whatever, but just I'm going to stick to the original word, which is interesting. If you look at the fights in UFC when he won the belt, that one the famous one where he sprints across the cage and does loads of speedy punches on Vanderlei. You look how big he is, for example. I mean, he's huge, massive. I mean, bodybuilder bod.
Yeah.
Then you see how later on he leaned up. Then you notice that he's taking fights only in Brazil. Then he had that wicked shaved Barnet, which shouldn't look good, where it was all shaved and grease hanging down. Dan Hardy tried that Barnet, and look at the state of it, right? But when Vitor had it, everything looked amazing. That haircut was amazing, made him look like a fighter. His body was amazing. He had an amazing tan. Everything looked good. And then the skills with it as well is just unbelievable. And it's very interesting to watch how his bod changed from massive muscles to a bit more shredded muscle into sag later on. Obviously, age will play a part in that as well, but it's the performances as well that matter. So I don't know how much this stuff makes a difference, but he's a good gauge, a good one to look at and say, well, look, this is how much of a difference it makes. You can put anything behind it and go, he's up against different fighters, more talented fighters. They're just better than him. But it doesn't matter. That period when he was blazing people, they were the top of the top. Luke Rockhold then was the top. That's all there is to it. He was amazing as well.
Yeah, and Dan Henderson.
Dan Henderson was mint. Yeah, I mean,
listen, I'm going to bring up one that you'll have forgotten about.
Go on.
Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, I have forgotten about it. What happened in that fight? Remind me.
It was the one where I think Anthony Johnson missed weight by a ridiculous amount.
I said this was a 171 then.
No, it was a middleweight bout.
Oh, and he came in as a heavyweight, did he?
Missed weight by it says here on Wikipedia it was for 197 pounds. So unless it was a catchweight bout initially,
it might have been a catchweight because he missed weight, or he knew he was gonna.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Unless it was an agreed, which it definitely weren't, because I know that Johnson did miss weight. So he missed weight by 16 pounds.
Brilliant. But listen, you've got to do whatever you can do against Vitor.
He still got done. If you remember, I think it was a real cagey affair, but then Belfort, I think maybe knocked him down or took him down and ended up choking him out with the rear naked. I remember really liking that fight because it was one of those real tense ones. We spoke before about what makes fights exciting is that sort of when you get that aura that something could happen any second. And that fight was filled because you had two absolute knockout artists.
Oh yeah, they're one touch gizzers, aren't they? That's all. Exactly, with a foot or a fist. Yeah, they're one touch. Yeah.
they're those fights that even if neither of them are throwing anything, they're still exciting because you're just kind of sitting there waiting. The time that these two do throw something, it could be over.
Yeah.
They can throw nothing and it still be exciting, rather than Gillian Robertson and Park and all that from this.
Robertson's the new Cyphers, I think. Yeah.
Anyway, we've kind of waffled on about this.
It don't matter. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll leave it then. We'll leave it there. But yeah, Vitor is one of the most interesting blokes to watch. If they should do a documentary about him, an open one, that he'll never let it happen probably, but an open one about everything that he did, and when hopefully at some point when he's a lot older, say 60, 70 or whatever, he'll agree to have it done. That documentary I'll watch, because that's what he'll do. I want to know everything. I want to know, was he doing roids when he smashed out Vanderlei? Our powers were the roids. I want to know when he went off them. I want to know, did he take those fights in Brazil because the commissions allowed the roids? I just want to know, and I hope someday he tells it, because roids or not, the skills were brilliant as well. But it is strange that the SAG bod era, the skills deteriorated with the bod. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but I think we can sort of decipher why that might be. But just to quickly clarify that, Anthony Johnson did miss weight. He came in at 186. No, sorry, he came in at 197, which is 11 pounds over.
Yeah, for a 185s, yeah.
Yeah, 185, yeah. But you're allowed the pound leniency over in non-title fights.
Yeah.
So he came in 11 pounds over, and Belfort agreed to have the fight, but only if Johnson couldn't weigh in more than 204 pounds after rehydration, which I think is fair enough. And and then that's like I say, the rest is choked out history. So
he did do him with a choke, yeah.
Yeah, it was a choke. Yeah.
I'll have to.
I remember him. He had his back, and to be fair, I think Johnson looked all puffed out. Maybe he hadn't been able to rehydrate properly, because obviously 197 to 204 pounds. That's not a lot of weight to sort of put back on. If you need to sort of take on a lot of fluid and stuff like that. So
yeah, and obviously he struggled to get to where he was, and that would have made him weed anyway. So
so he may have been compromised, but hey, listen, to weigh in 11 pounds over is not really justifiable. As far as if I was Belfort's team, I would have said no, fight's off, full stop. So to even offer the 204 pound clause, I think was very generous of him in the first place.
Yeah, well, look, he's old school. He's real fights, and that's all there is to it. I'm surprised that he don't still fight and didn't do, a Chuck Liddell and came back and all that. I'm surprised that he has retired and
last fight was, against Machida, wasn't
it? Yeah. Okay, I remember, but I am surprised that he, because to me that's what he does. That's all he's ever. Well, so that's all he's ever done. Who knows what he blooming does? But what's he doing now? I wonder. He's brilliant. Yeah, very interesting fella.
He's 43 now, though, to be fair.
Yeah. All right, no worries. We'll leave it there. It's prelims done. Don't get too excited, but the main card is on the way. So I'll chat to you about that in a bit. See you later.
All right. See you later.
Bye, mate.